All right.
Okay. Hell yeah.
Let me just make sure live chat is working here.
This better?
I mean,
Yeah.
sure, whatever. All right.
I mean,
Chat, please tell us that you can hear us before we continue. Wait, why is Hanson in
Hello.
chat? Not whatever.
I don't know.
All right.
Okay. Hell yeah.
Wait, I can hear myself somewhere. Oh no. Oh, here it. Close it. All right, we're good.
Waiting on Tyler. He'll
Yep.
join eventually.
All right, welcome everyone. Yep, as Carmen said, we're waiting on Tyler. Tyler is like 15 minutes behind. I think he's busy with something else. He should be joining us later. So before then, we are going to talk about some of the memes in top 8 at Atlanta that I was not aware about. I don't know if anyone else was aware about beforehand, but Atlanta was a very fun event. It was run very smoothly, and they were very quick, and there was no issues other than like literally every round went to freaking time. I don't know why. Well, I partly know why, but basically every round went to time and went over time. The 10 extra minutes, like almost every single round. You guys need to learn to play faster, please. I swear to God. Like, I literally AFK there and forget that I'm playing Weiss, and then I turn back and my game's already over, but for some reason people still can't finish the game. But that wasn't the big deal. Bushiroad did a really good job running the entire event. So the big meme is top 8 had turns in time, and time multiple times in top 8 changed the outcome of the match completely. One of those matches being our top 8 match. But I'm joined here with Carmen, Dean, Ellis, who was on our team for Atlanta, and I think Hanson is here. So, what do you guys think about Bushiroad enforcing time in top 8? I think having time in top 8 is fine, but then going to turns, and then after 10 minutes in time, no matter what point you're at, the game ends, basically.
they did that at Worlds, remember?
Yeah, that was really dumb,
Yeah.
too! This is... Oh.
I don't think top 8 should have time. I really don't, but that's just me.
Can't they double loss you?
I don't know how people
they wouldn't
play
do
that
it.
slowly.
I think there was a point where someone had same damage and they didn't enforce the double loss, which was really weird.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah. So I think one thing I'm going to say about having time in top 8, I think time in top 8 is important, so people aren't literally slow playing for a freaking ever. I know it's like a stressful game being in top 8. I think one thing they should enforce is in top 8, but not what's it called? Not just in the game at some random arbitrary point after time. Instead, to have judges watch the matches that are over time, and if one player is taking too long, you tell them you're moving on to your next phase. And if you don't make a play in like the next 10 seconds, because there are players who have no decision to actually make, and they'll just sit there for like 30 seconds and keep asking you how much power is that card. And then they'll say something else, and they're like, "Can I see your waiting room?" And just look at their waiting room again like 5 times before they will make a play. And then, sorry, go ahead, Dean.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think that's like the bigger problem. It's like there are people, like I don't like time is not like that common in Weiss. It shouldn't be, at least, to the point that like it's happening in every round of top 8. Right? That's like more of a player problem.
I think after the first initial round of top 8, we didn't have a time issue really again. Maybe we had one extra game went to time. But I think my biggest issue with it is I'm fine with like trying to make players play faster and trying to keep it within time. But if you're going to have turns and a time rule at the end, I think that's really obnoxious, because we'll have scenarios that will happen in like our top 8 game, which or a top 4 game, which influenced our match completely. Was one of our opponents got 2 turns at time, and our player only got 1 turn. And literally, if it went to our next turn, which we were technically allowed to because it was the last turn of turns, we would have won that match because we just needed 1 attack to win. But because
my turn, we were at the end of that opponent's turn. My turn was about to start when they called time.
Yeah.
Wait. See, that's like another one of those things where it's like, what? How does a turn take that long?
I don't know. Go ahead.
So what had happened was time gets called, and my opponent's turn 0. I'm turn 1. So my opponent takes an exceptionally long time playing out that turn 0. It comes to my turn. I'm playing. 2-minute warning gets called, so I play a little bit faster. and I passed turn. At that point, and I shouldn't have passed turn. I should have just slow played the clock there and let it be. But I'm not the kind of player who's going to slow play the clock. They go through their turn, go into attacks, and at the end of their attacks is when time got called, and that's where like that was it. I lost.
Yeah, and like you literally just need to stick any amount of damage next turn, and you would have won the game,
Right.
which is really unfortunate. I think it's a mix of both is like really annoying. Like if you're gonna go to times like that in top 8, maybe at that point you should enforce a chess clock at that point, sort of type of deal. Because if you're gonna allot 10 minutes for people, then you should have it more fair. Not have one player take 8 minutes of that 10-minute time, giving only another player 2 minutes.
Right.
It feels like you're getting punished because your opponent is playing slow for no reason, like 90% of the time.
I think Weiss has always felt like that with turns in time, which is part of the reason I hate it so much.
Yeah.
I feel like it really rewards the slow players.
Yeah,
I've
more
never
than the
had that
people
happen.
playing skillfully. Oh, it happens all the time at my locals, Dean. It happens all the time.
Okay. Well, your local experience is not my experience.
That's fair.
like I think we have one player in our locals that's slow, and they're hardly ever there anyway. So
Yeah, we have turns happen all the time at our locals, and like I can definitely tell you from playing in time a lot, playing in turns, it always rewards the person who's slow playing, and it never rewards the person who's playing correctly, which really sucks. I think it's just the nature of Weiss, like how the game works. But
yeah, I'm like, I think the issue mostly is if you're gonna have turns, just do turns only. Don't
have
the time. It makes no sense unless you're gonna give the same amount. Like if you give 5 minutes to each player, that's why I'm like saying like maybe in top 8 they could afford the like $3 extra to have a couple chess clocks on the side and be like, you guys will get 5 minutes. Well, I mean, if they want to use time as a thing, otherwise I think turns is completely fine. At that point, turns should give you more than enough like to like get the game done with, because a lot of the times when people actually end up at turns, they're already both level 3, which means they have 1 to 2 turns left of living at most of the time.
Just do the Yu-Gi-Oh approach. As soon as the time is called, the game is over.
Dude, that would be sick. They should do that. Like,
you would be more angry then.
hey, what
I would be hype about being angry about that though, because screw everyone. Because like you knew for a fact at the beginning this shit was going down. But yeah, what were you saying else there?
Oh, I would have won 2 extra games had that been the case.
Oh yeah. Two of our losses was based on time, which was unfortunate.
Yeah.
And I think Ellis has played a lot, and he's a pretty fast player for the most part. So I'm sure he wasn't like the hugest component to that being an issue, which is kind of, it's like I said, it's frustrating because like maybe it was Ellis's fault. Maybe Ellis was super slow because it turns out he's a super slow player and won't just attack with 3 characters. But we'll never really know because first of all, none of us except Ellis was in that match and the other player. And then I don't know. It kind of sucks.
Kid, I have to tell you, I'm not slow. I'm fast.
Oh yeah, all right, Sonic.
I can confirm he's fast.
But yeah, I don't know, that part was really frustrating to me, and obviously maybe this only matters because we were in top 8. But if Chicago was the same way, I'd feel really pissed about the players in Chicago if anyone got screwed by that.
I will say also, like in that event specifically, after round 1, I was playing my games much faster anyway because of what happened in round 1.
Oh yeah, when you lost that game due to
we went to time. We finished out our turns in time, and time got called. So it was a really awkward scenario, and we were tied on damage. So it was next change in damage. So in time, I got 2 turns. My opponent got 3.
Yeah, I don't think that one was as like bad. It sucked for us, obviously,
right,
but I think that wasn't as egregious as the stuff that happened in top 8.
Yeah, I agree with that. But it incentivized me to play faster in the rest of our games.
Yeah, honestly, it reminds me a lot. I played a lot of Control in like Modern and stuff when I went to PTQs and stuff for Magic, and those games are always win game 1, game 2, play slow as hell.
So the last
Oh
god, sorry.
No, go ahead. That's about it.
Oh, the last Magic event I went to, I played Modern, I played Affinity, and that deck is like you're done in 5 minutes or you've lost the game.
Yeah, I mean that's part of like the issue with Weiss as well. It's not a type of game where like 5 or 6 turns into the match, you know exactly whether the outcomes of you winning this match are going to be.
Right.
Whereas Weiss, you literally have to finish it because like, unfortunately, the way this game works is that there is that always like 1% chance of that obnoxious comeback, right?
Yep.
But I think does anyone else have any input on like top 8 times and stuff like that?
Chess clocks would be so sick. I've threatened to pull out the chess clock so many times.
I think the chess clock would be appropriate.
Yeah, I think it will. It like because it literally shows exactly what's happening. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no shades of gray. It's this player has used more time than this player. That's how it goes.
But sorry, dude, I was trying to combo.
Listen, this is why online TCGs or collectibles have. Yeah. Oh god, I'm roping, boys. I'm roping. I've lost so many games because I roped on like so many different online card games. It's been funny as hell. But yeah. Yeah. Hanson, did you have any input on top 8? Or is Hanson? There he is.
Yeah, I am here. Like, I mean, I rarely go to time, so I
right.
don't have much opinion on that.
All right, you guys remember when we're in Texas, make sure we go time every round so Hanson's forced to experience it.
Oh no.
Slow play.
What is it? The Hololive plus Mushoku meta. Maybe we'll see some longer games.
You know, maybe I should start calling slow play on my teammates.
Yeah,
That'd be funny.
That would be hilarious. Is there even a slow play rule in the English Bushiroad events? Because we had an issue with also in top 8 where we had multiple judges come to one of our games like 2 or 3 times because of incorrect game states in top 8. And they didn't get extensions on time, which was kind of weird as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's part of what happened in my game that went to time was my opponent had an incorrect board state. The judge came over and they were correcting it, and we didn't get an extension. So I also lost a minute to that in time.
Hype.
You lost time in time. Damn.
Yeah, I lost a minute to that because my opponent presented an incorrect board state, and like that's how that played out. So we lost a full minute.
It's unfortunate all around. I'm sure there's other games that happened in Swiss and in top 8 probably that went to time and got decided by that. I'm pretty sure I saw one player who was egregious and won because of time twice at that regional. So it'd be really interesting to have like clocks and stuff for time. But we'll see if Bushiroad makes any changes to that, because I think as a player, it feels really disgusting, like losing games or not even getting a chance to play out your turns at after time, right? All right.
Right.
All right.
Right.
Oh, there's our boy Tyler is in now.
There we go.
All right.
Sorry about that.
No problem. All right. Before we
Are we live already?
Yeah, we're already live. So
okay, I figured. Just making sure.
Before we get into like our run in Atlanta really quick, we got to congratulate our boy here, Hanson, getting second place on SPCCG's little Springfest singles, right? Playing Mushoku, the most underrated set and deck of all time right now.
What was it? Like 6 of the top 8 spots?
5 out of 8.
5.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was 6, and then that calculation error.
It was like
happened.
28% of the field out of 64 players.
Yeah, 64 players, and then 14 were on Mushoku. Yeah.
Converting to 5 out of 8 top 8 spots. You know, pretty cool.
Very healthy.
Cool meta. I love it, boys. Kaguya died.
We are watching and caring about the state of the meta very closely.
I mean, like, all the stuff that counters it is, like, absolute garbage, like 8 Wind, Alice, where you, like, play a crippled deck to counter the best deck, right?
Or you play Sunshine.
Oh, yeah, Sunshine's a pretty good matchup into it. Poor Kaguya got kind of, like, executed at the stake, or at the cross or whatever, because of reasons, I guess, question mark. I'm not really sure what data they pointed at.
Gotta sell more Mushoku.
Yeah, apparently. I think if full powered Kage versus Mishoku would probably be like a pretty even matchup. I think. What do you? I mean, you have way more experience.
It plays really well even now into Mishoku, except that you don't have. So the biggest problem with Kaguya being a standby level 1, I've found post ban, is that because you don't have that like tri-field rocket, a lot of the games going into your level 1, like on your second level 0 turn, you fall behind really quickly unless your opponent just eats everything. Because you're like not pushing damage in 1. You're challenging lanes, you're winning lanes, but because the game is slower, because you don't have the like early aggressive tri-field, you like fall behind very quickly, which is really unfortunate. Like because the rest of the deck plays super great into it, but you just like fall behind too quickly without that tri-field from K.
Yeah, it would have been really interesting. I would have loved to see this event with full powered Kaguya and seen how it would have played out. It definitely would have been. I think it definitely would have like changed
was
a lot of the
only
teams.
ever legal for online events, wasn't it?
Yep.
1.
Yeah.
It was legal for 1 event, bro.
Legal for, it was full power for 1 online event, and that was it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yikes!
It was really cool. Really makes me want to invest in a product from Bushiroad.
Listen, Bushiroad knows best. We don't know anything about this game at all, so I don't know why you're complaining.
Yep, they know best.
Oh man! All right, so let's get into our. Oh wait, Hanson, do you want to talk about anything specific about your run at SBTCG's Springfest?
I mean, yeah, sure. I played against like five Mushokus in like 9 rounds. That was pretty cool.
Means you're ready for the mirror.
You're ready for the mirror. We're putting you on Mishoku. We're
Yeah,
putting you
slap Hanson in seat A, dude. There you go. He'll take all the mirrors.
Oh my god!
You know what's really funny?
Mm.
In that tournament, the one Mushoku player I played was the guy I played on stream. I dodged Mushoku the entire rest of that day.
Oh yeah, I heard you got.
Lucky.
Tyler also got hit the bubble, man. I heard you got 9 or something after that. DQ.
2 people I lost to made it on stream,
Damn.
or made it into top 8, and I did not. That made me a little upset.
Only a little salty. I would be salty as hell too. It reminds me of a tournament.
10th place, so whatever.
I got 9th at a tournament where I paid $25 to be in to win a case, and that was really sad.
Yeah, that's always good.
You gotta love your tiebreaker opponents you have no control over. So, Hanson, what do you think of the Mushoku meta in general after playing through that insane mirror match?
I mean, it's surprisingly like skill intensive because like Mushoku doesn't have like anchor and stuff, so you kind of have to like really plan your stuff out, like how. But hey, this is sometimes you just stick damage because like I don't think my deck is actually really well prepped for the Mushoku mirror, but
I mean,
somehow it just got there.
You can stabilize it too better.
I
think,
could,
yeah.
But
'Cause
like,
you have the healer.
I'm running 3/2/2s and like
Not as consistent, yeah.
like which is like enough against like most decks, but like in the mirror specifically, like it can get like I'm also not running the 2/2 hand and core, so
Yeah, I think that's like the big card into standby mirrors. That'd be pretty helpful. But hey, 1 deck meta, easy meta, right? You know what to see.
true.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. I think I do like the 2/2 in the mirror. It helped in a couple matches at my the couple Mushoku mirrors I did in Atlanta. Yeah. One thing I have a question. How did you like the sack counter in like the mirror? I personally thought it was like really big in a lot of my matches because I would just like search it out and then like if they played the back row, I kill their back row and kill a card in front row at the same time, and then it also decentivizes them from like playing other cards. It was really interesting to see how people like reacted to it.
Yeah, for sure. I've definitely played the sack counter more than the rest counter, so the whole tournament.
Yeah, I definitely searched myself. I definitely searched it out every time in the mirror. I always search that out instead of the tap counter almost every time.
Yeah, because like the tap counter is like not you don't very rarely play that card at level 2. So
Yeah, for sure. All right, we're gonna run into our little Atlanta run here with our team. So the team for Atlanta was who was on A again? Was it Ellis? Well, Ellis was on A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in C.
Oh, you were on C. Oh no,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right.
I was A,
Tyler was A,
you were
you were
B,
B,
and
I
then
was
I was
C.
C.
So yeah, Tyler, you were on A. Was it? I forgot. You made some. Did you make any slight changes? It was basically 8-door fate again.
Yeah, I was playing 8-door fate again. The change that I made, I swapped the Ilya early plays out for the Ren early plays and the Jewel Swords.
Okay, yeah. And then I was on 8 standby Mishoku this tournament as the B player, and then Ellis.
I was on standby. Is it Gate? Is that actually Gate? What we call pants?
I think so. Is that the
Yeah,
English
we
term?
call
Yeah,
it blue
yeah.
jeans where I come from.
Yeah.
Blue jeans.
I was on standby Gate pants with a 3-1 split on the standby.
Yeah.
On
So
repeat.
we'll go do a quick breakdown of our rounds, and then we'll talk more in depth, I guess, with top 8. If you guys want to start, I guess, Tyler, to take it up.
Yeah, so my memory of the event might be a little bit cloudy. I had notes written down from every single round that I had, but I was purging my Google Docs and I accidentally deleted my my file on that, so I had to scrounge through conversations I had with friends about my rounds to figure out what I played and when. But round 1, I definitely remembered round 1. Round 1, I played against Door Choice Quince, where I was immediately shown that Fate does not have a good finisher. Game was pretty standard for 2 1k1 decks just slamming at each other, but Ichika is a very good finisher and Sakura is not.
What was it like? Did you cancel like 5 times or something, and you still died?
Yeah, he triple Ichikas, and I died to the last cancel burn from 3-0.
That's pretty rough.
Ouch.
Which, it's Ichika. That card's real good.
Yeah.
So I ended up losing that one.
So me as the B player, I was on 8 standby Mishoku. I ended up playing the mirror match, and I guess one thing to note too: this team we play in round 1 is the team that goes undefeated for the entire tournament up into top 8. So I wish I got their names, but
We played them again in round 2 of top 8 as well.
yep, we did, which was unfortunate. So I had an 8 standby Mishoku mirror match. The game was kind of a standard 8 standby mirror match, except both of us didn't really cancel, so our game was done in like 4 turns each or something like that. We just sat there and both like 8-5 every other swing, and we're like, oh, all right, I guess that was a game. Nothing really stood out for that game at all. It was just, yeah, no cancel, standby shenanigans at that point. I don't even think there was any like play either of us did that was like crazy or anything to pop off about. Ellis?
Yeah, so my round 1 was into... It was Bang Dream. I want to say it was Choice Standby. Might have been Gate Standby. I can't remember.
Should be choice pants.
Yeah, it is Choice Pants.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Choice Pants.
Not Standby. Yeah, it's Choice Pants. So I was into Choice Pants Bang Dream. That game, we were pretty back and forth. We were tired on damage for most of the game. I got to Pura twice at level 2, staying at level 2 the entire time. And when time got called, I was at 2-5. They were at 3-1. At the end of time, we were both at 3-4. They got to take an extra turn in time after that because that was how the rule went. Instead of a double game loss, it was next change in damage, and it was the end of my turn when that happened. So they played down a 3-1 soul attackers and stuck 1 damage, and that was the game.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that was really rough. I think,
Yep.
I remember talking afterwards. I think you made a miscalculation, too, on, like, how much damage
did.
you had to win.
So
Yeah.
so on my turn, the 2-minute warning got called. No, it was under a minute warning got called. So I had calculated that they had I needed to deal 4 damage to win. And when in my calculation, I remembered that I had a healer in hand. When the 1-minute warning got called, I forgot that I had a healer in hand that I needed to play. So I didn't play down the healer, Therefore, we were tied in damage instead of being at 3-3 and 3-4 respectively.
Yeah, that was rough. But I mean, early, first round jitters and all that stuff. So yeah, it was just. Yeah. Oh yeah, I think I forgot to say I won the Mishoku mirror. But yeah, so our team went 1-2 and we lost to the team that ends up going undefeated. All of them were really pretty cool guys. The guy I played against too, I gotta say this, he had a Jahi-sama play mat, and I'm jealous of that mat. I need to find it. Going into round 2, so we start off the day strong, going 0-1. After driving like 9 hours to get there. Tyler, you want to take it?
Hey, y'all could have flied.
It was a lot cheaper. We had an interesting drive down Ellis and I. So it was a lot of fun.
Okay, the gas prices, how much cheaper was it?
It was like $75 for both of us for the gas.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I understand now.
All right, Tyler.
Yeah. So round 2 is where I was punished for my lack of matchup knowledge. I played against Door Standby Ruby. I don't think they had a level 1 combo because it wasn't the Ruby level 1 combo. I think it was 2 different level 3 climaxes in there. But so I get shot to level 1 pretty quick because they tri-field on their turn 1 from I went first attack once, they go first, play 3 characters, hit me. But my hand is thankfully sculpted pretty well for level 1. So I go double Rin with an Amagi, go to climax combo, and they end up getting stuck at 05 after my second attack. And the 2 Rins that attacked into their I forget what character's on it. It's the on reverse Rize. They both grabbed level 1 characters. I didn't know that Ruby had a Ricky, so after they just sculpted 2 level 1 characters, and one of them even ditched a level 0 character, I just decided to pass because I figured the 5Ks and then my third lane, which was 3... how big is the Ren's 2K? Whatever. I figured I could just wall out with the 5Ks if they even had playable characters that turn, because I had another door in hand to combo again the next turn. But they draw a clock and then Ricky themselves to level 1, and I am heavily punished for that. Thankfully, I was able to do some like refresh looping at level 2 to kind of claw it back, but I still just couldn't get there, and I'm not entirely sure if it was due to my misplay at 0 there, but it could have been.
All right, my round 2 opponent was playing Sunshine, but not the normal Sunshine. It was this weird Wind Pants amalgamation of like characters. So I didn't really know what was going on other than they had a wind trigger, and I was like, oh, that kind of sucks if they hit wind randomly. They played the combo. The wind trigger combo was for the 1-0 Ruby from set 1 that changes into the 2-2. And then the pants combo was it? I don't even remember what the pants combo was for. I don't think they were even able to play it. Essentially, I just did standby things. I walled them out immediately. They never really hit. They did hit wind triggers, but whenever they did hit the wind triggers, it was always like at a moment where it was no longer impactful to my board. So they like removed like a Paul or something, and I was like, okay, whatever, and then just like replayed it the next turn because I had like infinite stock, and I basically I didn't have to clock after like the first turn of the game. So unfortunately for them, they just could never answer my board. I just sat there and sculpted my hand to like be whatever I wanted until level 3, and then they eventually just ate a bunch of damage and lost the game at there because they could just never have a board essentially. So even when they got their 2-2 out, it was never even big enough to contest my field at level 1 even. So yeah, and then I won that game. All right, Ellis.
Yeah. So our round 2, for me, I played against Bang Dream again. I went first that game. So I put down a Neon Cat. Turn 1, swing in. I succeed on the coin flip, so I put it back in my hand. They field a back row and a runner and attack once. Either not realizing what Neon Cat did or not remembering that I had it. So I clock, I draw triple cat. So I have 3 cats in hand at this point. I try field the cat. Put their card to the bottom of the deck, swing 3 times, and then succeed the coin flip again. So it was just an exceptional plussing situation. I got to resolve triple combo 1. And when I did it, they were out, I want to say 5 or 6 climaxes, so I got to stack soul triggers to deal 9 damage. When they hit me to 2, I stayed at 2. I got to resolve Pura twice. I stayed at 2 the whole time, and I ended up playing over a Pura with a Neapolitan at 3 to grab back the Pura climax and just Pura them again to kill them. That game was pretty quick.
All right, yeah. So our team there, we win that. We go 1-1 right now. So then we just move on to round 3.
So my round 3 and 4 are completely lost in my notes. I know I played against Ruby for one of them, and I played against Dal for one of them. I'm pretty sure round 3 I played against Dal, so I'll just report that one first.
I think I actually remember that being correct.
Okay. So it was 8 choice Dal, which I was not aware of at Mulligan. So they go first, so they have to mull first. They mull, and the only thing they ditch is the what's her name, Kotori, the 3/2 assist with 3 different ETB effects.
Yeah.
That's yeah. So that's the only card they mull. So I put them on 8 standby, and not 8 choice. So in my Fate deck, the 2/1 rider package, the 2 different 2/1 riders, I should say, are very good against bigger boards like that. So I decided to keep 2 of those in my hand, not realizing they were 8 choice. I could have mulled those away had I known they were 8 choice because the cards are dead in that matchup. But I ended up effectively de-sculpting my hand based on that, because after my first swing into them, I see that they are playing choice climaxes. Thankfully, though, once I realized they were playing 8 choice, I was able to filter the useless cards out of my hand with Azusa, which is a effect that is very good, and it's good that they don't print that anymore. And after that, I was just the better 1k1 deck at the end of the day. I think that was the game where I won by decking them out with triple Sakura for the last point of damage.
All right. My matchup was Book Pants Bang Dream. This is, once again, I just win the matchup because I win board infinitely, even though they were plussing every turn. The book combo was the TD Yuki combo, or Yukina combo. I don't know why I said Yuki. So like they were able to just combo like almost every turn. But I just sat there from, I think I only like clocked twice that game because I knew I was winning board the entire time. And I just sat there as they were crashing every lane or side attacking my 1/1s until I started moving 2/2s into the front row. And then I just started swinging big until they eventually died. I don't remember how close the game was. It just, a lot of these matchups where your opponent doesn't even contest your board, I just lose them to memory because you just sit there and do nothing all game, essentially. But yeah, so then I win that match. Ellis.
So my round 3 was against Mishoku, the first time I saw that event. I go second. Post Mulligan, my opening hand is Weiss Climax, Weiss, Double Pura. I go second. I put down 2 Puras. I swing in with both Puras, stick 4 damage, pass turn. Their turn, they kill my first Pura, and I resolve the Rize. Hit 3 climaxes, lose a card in hand, go to memory. Second attack, they swing in, hit 2 climaxes in a level 3, take and ditch the level 3. So I'm out 6 at this point, and they stuck 9 damage that turn because they slammed a climax. So, or not a climax, they had soul triggers. So they stuck 7 damage, sorry. So I was behind the entire game. I lost a card in hand, and the other one didn't filter anything for me. I wasn't able to find combo at any level throughout the game other than the one Weiss that I opened with. So after losing the one hand, it was just a struggle to catch back up.
All right, and then you lost that game then?
Yeah, I lost that game.
Oh,
yep.
Rough. All right, so our team 2-1, and then we go 2-1 for our team total. So far looking good, making a recovery from that round 1 loss. We move on to round 4 here, Tyler.
So round 4 is where I played against the Buck Standard Door Standby double Ruby combo Ruby, and that's about all I remember from that matchup. I remember I had a weird turn at level 2 where I intentionally attacked for only attacked 2 times, like I only fielded 2 characters. If I remember right, it was so they couldn't field their finishers at level 3 and try to kill me. I think it was like, if I hit a brainstorm that I'm favored to hit, I refresh and then heal twice. But if I don't hit it, I attack twice and keep them at level 2 so they don't kill me. Think that's what happened, but again, lost my notes. I remember I ended up winning it at least.
All right, I can tell you for a fact that didn't happen round 4 because now I'm looking at my notes, and round 4 I played against Ruby.
Oh, so Ruby I must have played against
in round 3.
And then round 4 I played against Dow. All right, so just pretend I said those in the correct order then.
Yeah, okay. So my matchup was against Door Standby Ruby. It was the standby was for the Ruby standby, and the Door was for the TD combo. The TD combo. I've like looked at the deck a lot and played Ruby a lot. Not necessarily Door Standby, but it's just the Door combo at 1. So I kind of understand the limits they have at 1. So I kind of played, if I remember this correctly, I played a little bit slow in the beginning to make sure I get one first to set up my board, because once I set up my board and they have 3 lanes they can't contest with one of the 1-0 combos, they kind of lose the game from there. And that's essentially what happened. I did have one lane where they could get over, which I ended up letting them get over, so they got 1+ there. But the other 2 lanes were just so small they couldn't contest my other 1-1s. And then after that turn, they could not win the board for the rest of the game. I don't even remember if they used the standby combo at all to like even kill me or anything with the Ruby. I don't even know if maybe they did. Oh yeah, they did, because I remember they had that plus the restander at the end, I believe, is what happened when they tried to kill me. And then I just returned with the healers and then standby combo and killed them with the burn 2 on attack. All right, Ellis?
So it's to me?
Yep.
All right, so my round 4, I'm playing against Mishoku again. So I mulligan the Pura Bomb. I'm going first. I mulligan Pura Bomb and I think a Climax. I think I mulliganed Pants. On my first turn, I draw two more Climaxes. I draw a Standby and a Pants. So I play down an Ironwood, discard the Standby to salvage. I hit a level 1. I pick up the Pura, and I discard another card to draw the level 1 that was on top, which was the second Pura. So I'm holding 2 Puras. I attack in past turn. They field 2 attackers. They field a runner and the PR that bottom decks or waiting room's a card, cost 0 in center stage. So they waiting room the Ironwood and they attack in twice. They trigger a standby on both attacks and they put the heiresses in back row. What I assume is because they saw that I had the Pura bombs. So I eat 6 damage off that. I'm level 1. I clock draw, and I'm sitting on Weiss double Nolan. So I just field 2 Nolans and stop their back row from moving up. I field the Weiss. I use a resolve single Weiss combo. I mill through 3 cards. I cancel twice on their following turn. On my turn, I'm able to recycle and just keep their heiresses back in back row with the Nolans. I'm able to salvage them back between Ironwoods and Weiss. So they weren't able to resolve their combo at all. I did that for a couple turns, was able to recycle that. So into level 3, that was the first game I resolved the Ruby, the tap to burn 3 and clock kick a card across from it. I did that to clock kick 2 Pauls, and they just ate the damage.
Nice. So our team there wins, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So what are we at? We're 3-1 now. Going into round 5. Final round. As long as we win this, we're guaranteed top 8. Unknowing to us that our first round loss normally is really bad for us, but it turned out we didn't know until afterwards that our round 1 opponents were still undefeated at this point. So that was like really good for a tiebreaker. So if we did lose this round, there was probably still a good chance we top 8 because I think how many X2s made it? Like 1 or 2, right? I think it was like 2. Yeah.
Yeah, I think 2 X2s.
Yeah.
All right. So round 5 starts. If you can go ahead, Tyler.
So round 5, I remember this one for sure. It was against Alicization. It was 4 pants for the level 1 Kirito combo. Then I believe it was a split of 2 Stock Soul and then 2 Choice for the Mother's Rosario combo. I think this matchup was won at deck building and not actually during the play, because my opponent seemed very, very all in on resolving multiples of the Asuna combo. There were multiple turns at levels 1 and 2 where he was only able to attack twice due to not having playable cards in his hand, I guess. But yeah, so with that, I was just able to us both slamming global soul climaxes at each other. Those 2 attack turns left him too far behind. He ended up resolving 1 Asuna whenever he hit level 3, and he hit 6 soul triggers on it, which was horrifying. But thankfully, I canceled enough to stay alive at 3-5 and kill him on the crackback.
Nice. My round 5 opponent was 8-Door Quince. Let me tell you, I've only ever played against 8-Door Quince after set 2's come out, so I had no idea what the hell was going on in this match.
Actually, what's her name? Itsuki Waifu?
I mean, is it? I guess. I don't know shit about Quince.
I know that deck basically is, but I remember looking over and just only seeing Itsuki cards.
Yeah, so this match was like, I was like, okay, whatever. I don't really know what happens here, but if it's anything like I'm playing at locals and stuff, and from what I've seen, I just sit here and kind of AFK again until my opponent loses the game. That's what I thought, at least, until my opponent did the most craziest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. This was like crazy-ass gamble. So most 8 standby decks run some amount of Rudred for the clock search, right? I was showing 0 out, and I had none in waiting. I never triggered any. There was none in clock. My opponent decides to pass when I'm at 0-5 to try to level lock me. I still had 3 in my deck. I'm like, oh, if I draw one, I just win the game immediately because I'm already set up to like triple combo next turn from my hand. So if I just get to level 1, I just win. I proceed to draw a clock, draw 2 more, and not get it. I was like, oh great, this is of course how I'm gonna get punished. So I don't even remember if I was able to field an attacker that turn because I believe every card in my hand was like really important. If I did, it was probably like a Roxy Bonder or something. I just threw out there and just like swung once, and then on the swing back after that turn, he slammed a door, and I went from 0-6 to 2-0 immediately while he was at 0 still.
Classic.
Yeah, and so I was like, well, that sucks, but now he's never going to get over my board, which is what happened. But the issue at that point was I don't really have a lot of tools to stabilize outside of just slamming a bunch of pawns off of standbys, which did happen, but every time I canceled and I milled a card off the top of my deck, it did not have a trigger, so I was never able to get like extra attacks in basically through Paul. I did end up whittling his hand down, but almost every brainstorm he hit like 1 or 2. Like every time, and then like basically refreshed almost every other turn. So his deck state was never horrible. So it was really hard to really push to win the game. And I'm pretty sure he killed me when he was like high level 2s, and I was like mid level 3s at that point. It was just an unfortunate circumstance that I was not able to like literally draw into my 1 out, or I guess there's 3 outs in my deck. But that gamble was like crazy. I don't know if he realized that. I think I did talk to him about it afterwards because I was like, that was insane. I think he forgot that like that Snow Sprite profile existed, and if I drew into it, I'm pretty sure the game was
sometimes
just
you
mine to
forget
win.
that the clock that the clocking effect exists. What can I say?
Yeah,
You're the best of us.
You were
happens.
what? 0 and 8 for Paul triggers.
Oh no, I was like 0.
No, that was the,
that was Eris. We'll talk about that later. Fuck that card.
Oh right.
I think Paul only went off once the entire time, but usually it's because by the time I had Paul's out on the board, most of my games I was already winning that turn essentially. But yeah, that happened, and it was like unfortunate. I had no real way to stabilize since all my healers were at level 3 anyway, in which I killed down as much as I could, but it was rough. That's it. I gotta say though, I think for him, the back row support that every time you play a gate trigger, you get to give something an extra soul, and then I think there was another one too where if you trigger gate, you can give us or something weird. He got a lot of extra soul out of that, which was obnoxious for me. I was like, oh, I get to cancel more, but Weiss said no, so yeah, I ended up losing that match. All right, Ellis.
So for me, my game was against Mishoku, and we're sitting there, and my opponent is level 1. They have an on death Azusa in play. They play over it with something. And then they I thought I saw them discard. They top check. They put cards in waiting room, and then they discard a card. And I'm like, wait, why did you discard a card? And their exact words were, "Don't worry about it." And so my first instinct, I call Judge immediately. So I'm like, that's really weird. Judge comes over.
I didn't hear that part.
Yeah, he says his exact
Don't
words.
worry about it.
And I'm like, wait. So yeah, I call Judge. Judge comes over. And they're like, what happened? So I'm like, I walk them through what I just witnessed, and they're like, so you top checked and you discarded after your top check? And he's like, yeah, that's exactly what happened. And so the judge is like, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to take the card that you took, confirm, and they have me confirm it's the correct card. And I'm like, yeah, that's the right card. They have him put the card that he discarded back in his hand. They have him take the other cards that were milled, and they shuffle his deck. They give him a warning. They shuffle his deck. Then they force him to discard and top check, and they tell him to go. He has to mill the full 4. So they make him mill the full 4. He hits the same card again, takes it. I'm like, okay, sure. While the judge is still standing there, he plays down another on death Azusa and discards a card and starts resolving the effect. Flips over 3 cards on top of his deck, and the judge is like, all right, I've watched you go far enough. This is a game loss. You're getting DQ'd. You're representing a bad game, or like misrepresenting game state again. That effect happens when the card dies and nothing was played over it. So like I'm sitting there and I'm a little dumbfounded by this. I'm like, wait a minute. So my opponent just got themselves DQ'd by making a mistake. Then while the judge is still standing there making another mistake with the same card. Like what's happening? It felt kind of Clown World almost. Like that's the best way I had to put it. Like it was very like, hold on, why? So yeah, so
That's
I won that
wild.
game by default. I remember looking over and seeing you in your game kind of like zone out, and then zone back in, and you're like, I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I wasn't paying attention, and then game continues to proceed like normal. So I pretty much just watched your guys' games after that happened.
Oh, I didn't realize it like that happened really early on. I remember you calling the judge and stuff, but I didn't realize you won the game from that.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, well, because they did it twice while they did it a second time while the judge was standing there watching our game. that was what got me the most. Was the judge was still standing there, and they tried to resolve an on death effect on play, and the judge lets them do it, lets them dig 3 cards deep, and then tells them they've lost, and I'm like, oh.
At that point, you gotta wonder if they just played it that way every single time, not realizing that it was wrong.
Well, they resolved the first one on death.
Yeah, like the second,
What
like
set
I mean,
was this in?
out of muscle memory. Just like,
Oh,
yeah, I'm gonna
okay.
play my odds and do this thing.
What set was this that you were against again?
Mashoku.
Shoku? Oh my god! So the heiress.
The Ares.
Yeah, the Ares, the level 0.
Okay, I was thinking. Okay, like what the hell? I know there's like a misprint in Konosuba on the Chiri or whatever.
Yeah, it has a misprint.
That misprint's really good. The cards you reveal don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man! All right, so Tyler and Ellis win their game. I lose my game, right? And so that gets us our team as 4-0, and we move into top. We got into top 8 as were we 5th or 4th place? I forgot.
4th place.
Yeah,
We're 4th.
Yeah. Oh, spoilers. Yeah. So we make it in top 8 as 4th place. We beat the hardest boss in Weiss history, which is deck check.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Never
I-
not nerve-wracking.
Because Tyler thought I had jinxed it. I was like, we can't fail deck check between the two of us. So if we do, it's not our fault. Like, I'm very methodical when I put together a deck list like that on their website. I'll sleeve the deck, I'll sort the deck out, and then I'll go through and add each card one at a time. Like I make sure that I make zero mistakes. Because I
exact same thing.
deck check for any game I've ever played. Knock on wood somewhere. I've never failed a deck check, and I hope to never fail a deck check.
Sorry, I
Same.
failed deck check in the top 8 for singles. It was great. My strategy was Ellis was the one who let me borrow 8 Standby Mushoku, and when he handed it to me, I fanned the deck out like twice and was like, "Yeah, it looks good. It looks right." And then just I was like, "Whatever, I'll wing it." If I fail deck check, I could just blame Ellis the entire time.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's my fault. Yeah.
You got somebody to blame. He and I don't.
Yeah. Deck check takes literally forever. We don't know what
our deck
happened.
checks. Deck
Go
checks took 2 hours. I remember what happened.
I also remember what happened. Do you
Well,
want to-
I know what happened.
was
I don't remember the
hilarious.
reasoning. Right?
So, someone failed deck check, and they have two teams with exact tiebreakers, both at 9th place. So they're trying to figure out which team to let in, and what they end up deciding on is the team that registered first gets to top cut.
Yeah, and it wasn't like who registered first that day. It was who registered their team first through the form online.
Yes.
That was a pretty good meme. I think if they wanted to like not play a team match against them or something, they should have just coin
Flip a
flipped.
coin.
Yeah, flip a coin.
especially
That would have been
because
more
it
fair.
took them 2 hours to
Like,
come to that solution. They should have
yeah.
either coin flipped or had them actually play out a match. Like
Another
if they
reason
had
that
taken,
it reason that it took so
minutes-
long.
Oh yeah.
They had like 2 or 3 judges over at Vanguard judging their top 8 that was going on. So they were down to only like 1 or 2 judges
Oh,
doing
right.
a deck check
Right.
on
yeah.
top of this.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
that makes
fucked up.
sense.
Yeah. But yeah, like up until that point, everything about the tournament was going quick, pretty fast. We hit time every round, but that
I
wasn't too
barely
big of a
had
deal.
time to go get water after our matches.
Yeah. So, yeah, that hiccup there was like really painful. I think I like slept for like 10, 20 minutes on the side while these two were playing like casual games.
Yep.
All right. So yeah, we're in top 8. Hype. We're like all sick. We're gonna win this event easy, no problem. I guess round 1 of top 8, Tyler.
Yeah, so round 1 of top 8, I go up against Adventure Time with the standby level 1 combo and the Finn and Jake choice finisher. The player I played against played great. I do not respect that deck. I feel that standby level 1, choice level 3, Adventure Time is just exponentially worse than either 8 standby or 8 choice. Your walls don't get big enough. You don't push any damage, and then since you're not pushing damage, the Finn and Jake can't like close out things to do. But yes, so that game I win pretty handily because their board died every single turn to everything that I did. I healed way too much at level 2, so Finn couldn't even try to kill me. I just feel that deck is not a strong choice.
All right. My top 8 match was 8 standby Mushoku mirror match, obviously, because that's life. This match was kind of weird for me. What happened? I should have wrote down who went first. But essentially, what happened was every 8 standby mirror match, I'm just like, okay, whoever hits 1 first and is able to build their board, like outside of like weird scenarios where like their first attack triggers standby and they play another 2/2 into the back row or something, you just auto win those because you get to sit there with a counter, you flash the counter to your opponent, you sit there with your 8/5 walls and you just go, yeah, good luck. And then they proceed to lose the game from that point because they can never stabilize. What I remember was really weird was I'm not sure. This guy was a good player. Before I make these comments, I'm just not sure if he's not super familiar with the 8 standby mirror and how like board-based decks like really want to fight for board and hand size in this point. He made a really weird play where he just tri-fielded and like pushed damage immediately, which hit me to 1 first. And because he hit me to 1 first, I was able, and like I still had resources in my hand to pivot. I pivoted to playing the 1/0 Galanes and playing only 1/1/1. and proceeded to do that and build hand size up to 7 again immediately, and having like a decently hard board to kill, while at the same time as like milling out my entire deck, so I'm ready to refresh to the next turn. His response was like 2 1/1s, and then he played his 1/1 Gel, and I immediately countered and beat both of those lanes. So there was nothing he could respond with afterwards except like salvage them again and play another 1/1s from hand, and then play the combo again so he can get hand size. Because I won so heavily at that point through like having infinite hand size, basically, because he was never able to like beat my board after that turn. I just sat there with like a sculpted hand of like perfectly whatever I wanted whenever I wanted, because I just used the events obviously that are busted in Mushoku, and I sat there with a sat counter and everything. He played out his 3-2 into the back row. I like sat countered and everything. It was just like a very like I win the board for the rest of the game, and he had no hand size. The game was still like somewhat close, but because I was always in a position of like controlling the board, it was very tough on my opponent to do anything essentially in that match. That's basically it. I just kind of came down to like I was able to control the board way better than he could at that point. But yeah, Ellis.
Yeah, so I played against I want to say it's Pants Choice Sword Art. Yeah, it's Pants Choice Sword Art. Their level 1 combo is the On Attack Salvage, and the level 3 is the Austin, and the mills a bunch of cards. So the entire game, they went first. They field single Pants assist, the one that does the effect when you trigger a Pants. The Kirito, it's like a 500 power, I think. Yeah. So they swing in. I field down a Pura. I swing over their assist. They field the same assist and a clean cut. They clean cut over the Pura. I mill 2 clean and a Weiss. I grab the Weiss. They clean cut to back row. On my turn, I field a Neon Cat. I swing in. They get hit to 1/5 because it cancels. Or not 1/5, sorry, 0/5 because it cancels. On their turn, they don't have any playables because they didn't get hit to 1, so they force forward their Pants Assist and swing it in. I get to bottom deck the Pants Assist again with the Neon Cat. When they went into level 1, they had 2 attackers. I guess they just drew really poorly and did not have anything they could field. They had single combo and I want to say a 3rd assist that they used as attackers. So I just from that point forward was ended up just able to stay ahead the entire game. I was able to take 2 turns with Pura at level 2. I was able to play over my own Pura and then replay a Climax to get her back and shuffle cards back in, just stick a bunch of damage. So I was just ahead the entire game. So I won that round.
Yeah, and then that solidifies us into top 4 there, and then we.
Yep.
Was there a delay in top 4? It was immediately right after, right? We just moved on to top 4.
I remember it being like, if not right after, very soon after.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was less than 5 minutes.
Yeah, which was really nice. So we go into top 4. We end up playing against our round 1 opponents, so we get the run back, the undefeated team. Go ahead, Tyler.
So, same issue I had round 1 against Ichika. Ichika is just too good of a finisher for Fate. That Quince is probably the worst matchup for Fate that you'll see, and yeah, just me hitting it twice really sucked. It was a similar story, a decent back and forth, but eventually I'm hit to 3-3, and I miss a brainstorm where I could have grabbed a healer to go down to 3-2 and maybe have a better chance of living, but I whiffed that brainstorm, and then double Ichika just made me explode from 3-3.
Rough. So my top 4 match again was the 8 standby Mushoku player. This time our game was a little bit better. We both had like decent cancels and stuff like that. One thing of note in this matchup, I made a really obnoxiously good play at level 1, which put me ahead in the game for like the rest of the game, because I baited him to using his counter in a lane where I already set up to stand by out the second turn, or the second swing. So I swung in with my 1/1 in that lane specifically to see if I can get him to bait the counter out, which he did. So he used his counter there, thinking he was going to have an open lane the following turn to like swing in for more damage, because a lot of the times you win these matchups in standby is by blowing up their board, forcing the clock, and having extra soul, because your climaxes don't give you extra soul. Because I was able to top check 2 and rearrange off of the Rudy level 0. I put standby second, hit the standby second on the other thing, on the second swing, and then brought back another 1/1 into that lane, because that was the only target I had. And at that point, like, my opponent was visually like kind of sad that happened. And then at that point afterwards, the rest of the match was just kind of like swinging in for 1, and him not being able to ever recover from that state, because I was able to counter beat over every lane and also hold on to like 1-0 counters and level 2 counters, making it really awkward for my opponent. I might have mixed this up. They might have been the first match 8 standby, but I remember flashing a sat counter again off of searching it right when I went to level 2, making it so every time my opponent played a standby, they had to play a 2/2 in the back row every time, because if they played anything else, I would sat counter and kill it immediately, because their hand size was just so low, and so like their hand size was in a very poor state because they kept losing board at that point. I felt like I was going to win that game easy peasy, and then I proceeded to just like at level 3, I'm just like, okay, I just cancel once here and I win the game. The deck just said no thank you, and I ate it all the burn 2s and everything. I think he played like I can't remember the number he played. I know he played at least like 2 of the Gale level 3s that turn, and I was like, oh, that sucks. I just kind of ate everything and died. I didn't even get to play my level 3s, I believe. I think I was like high level 2s going into level 3.
I remember looking over and seeing you say, all right, I'm going to be 0 and 7 on this, and you play the early play Eris.
Oh, yeah.
And hit a climax again. And
I'm
like,
God, I fucking hate that card.
And you didn't clock, and you had also said if you had clocked, you would have seen that, like, you would have drawn that climax and been able to use it.
Oh, no, yeah, you're right. I was level 3. If that was the match, I was level 3, because I had to make a decision on... he was like 3-2 or 3-3 or something, and my decision was I could clock and gamble to see if I get... If I get the standby, there's only 2 standbys left in my deck for the level 3 Gale. And my decisions was... clock and get the standby, and then I get 5 attacks that turn, or I could choose to not clock and heal down and have 3 attacks plus a burn 1. And then after I made that decision, I looked back at every match I played that day, every game I played that stupid 3-2 early play Eris. I realized I never hit once, and I was like, oh shit, time to go 06, 07 on this Eris top check. And then I reveal the climax and go, great, as expected. And I was like, damn, I misplayed. And the best part was the top card that was revealed was the climax for the Gale level 3. I was like, this sucks. Like, mathematically, I made the right play, I think, but it was just really, I was just like, god damn it. Like, of course this is going to happen.
I remember whenever you like vocalized that, I glanced over at your game. I'm pretty sure your opponent was at 3-3. Because I remember being like, oh, that burn one wins the game. No.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because the burn one sets up 3-3-3 for lethal on 3 lanes, and I knew he was basically out or whatever. But yeah, I was like, oh, great, I love this game, I hate it. So yeah, that was unfortunate. So I ended up losing that match, even though I felt like I made like a really good play at level 1 that put me far ahead, and I was just like, Weiss is Weiss, it happens.
Yep. It was a very good play, though.
Yeah. It was the correct play, I think.
Oh yeah. I think it's the correct play too. Just hindsight is 20/20, baby. Yeah. All right, Ellis, go ahead.
So I'm playing again against the same Bang Dream play from round 1. Our game, I'm ahead for a good majority of the game. I had a really good level 0. I had a really good level 1. So level 1, I'm at level 1 for 2 turns, and they weren't able to crack my Weiss board. I was able to use counter and save 2 lanes, and they were just crashing the 3rd lane. So I'm able to resolve Weiss combo 2 turns in a row with them being out, I want to say 6 and not being 6 visible and not being able to go through their own deck to refresh. So I was able to stick like 7 damage the first turn and 9 damage the second turn. So I put them almost straight to 3, or I did put them to 3 actually. Level 3, they're able to stabilize some. They shoot me to 2. I'm not able to find the stuff to pure them at 2. So I just swing on in. I crash board in 3 lanes at 3. I played a Salem that either is the stock swap or the Icy Tail for 1 stock on play. And I count they have 3 climaxes still in deck. They have like 10 cards in deck. So I go for the Icy Tail because they only have 4 stock. Icy Tail hits all clean. Don't deal a single point of damage with it. They cancel 3 times. They swing in. I triple cancel. So I'm able to play down a Neapolitan on my turn to salvage the Pura Climax. They have like 1 card in deck. So I was just able to kill them that way. By shuffling 5 cards back into the deck.
I do remember, I think you were the first of our team that finished.
Yeah.
And I remember...
Yeah, I was done super quick.
I remember seeing you being done and you won the game. I was like, sick. I think I'm far ahead in this game. And worst case scenario...
Yeah, when I looked over, when our game ended, when I looked over, you were so far ahead. And then just out of nowhere, the ball went straight downhill.
Yeah, Weiss is Weiss. But I just remember thinking,
You
I was
guys
like...
couldn't have counted on me on that for that game. I lost a deck selection for that matchup.
I just remember like being like, I'm super far ahead, and like worst case scenario, Tyler is still a really good player. So even if I lose here, maybe he wins this matchup. He's like probably going to lose anyway because of deck select or character select screen losses there. So I was like, we still have so I'm like, we probably made top 2. And everything
because I look over, like I won my game. I look over, I see you're super far ahead. I can't really tell what's going on in Tyler's game from where I'm sitting. Then Tyler's game ends, and I try to like flag him to get his attention, but he's not looking in my direction at all. And the judge like stared at me and shook his head like not to do that. So I was like, oh no. So I have to just sit there quietly and wait. And then your game goes to time. And I still don't know the result of Tyler's game because I can't get up from the table. And the judge told me not to flag Tyler down, and I'm like, no.
Oh, I thought you saw me. I waved back at you.
Oh, I didn't see you, no. No, that's when the judge gave me the stern look.
You gave me like a thumbs up, and I gave you a thumbs down or something.
Oh, I didn't see it. I'm sorry. So that was really funny. So it's the same judge. That judge, I think, was sitting there watching my games for a majority of the day because 4 times that day he had to give my opponents warnings for game state errors, and he's the same judge that DQ'd the guy in round 5.
Oh my god.
And so one of the other Mishoku
that
players
same judge handled a couple of my calls too.
Yeah. So one of the other Mishoku players that I played against made a similar play mistake, and they had to do the judge shuffle for it. And then also, I will get into this more, but the following round where I lost the minute in time, the same judge is the one that said, "Hey, wait, you're making a wrong call," and recorrected that game state too. So kudos to that judge, whoever he was. I can't remember his name. I don't think I got it, but like he was on top of things.
All right, so yeah, our team ends up losing that. Ellis being our only victory that round. So we move on to our last match for was it? Match for third place. Battling for third. And that's when I find out that 4th place doesn't get a promo card, and I was like, oh, of course. This is how things are going to end. Yeah. Tyler, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel pretty good going into... so first of all, I should say I was against Choice Pants Bang Dream, the pants being the Mashiro combo. I opened quite possibly one of the best hands I have ever opened with Fate. I remember it was like the level 1 climax, a level 1... the drop search, and then 2 of the Sakura clock bombs. So it's just even if I hadn't been going second, that was just a really good hand. And so level 0 and 1 plays out as ideally as you can for Fate, but then at level 2 he just starts canceling, and I'm having to like loop the free fresh and then crash into the choo choo in order to just maintain some form of a lead. So we both spend like 2-3 turns at level 2, and then we have a Dirtle turn at level 3. And then I believe this is the only game that I went into time, but it ended up not mattering because we finished in one turn. I end up having to crash. I heal once, crash board. My deck is pretty compressed. I can't remember exactly what I was at, but then with us being at time, the guy decides I need to kill you now. So he fields the Mashiro combo and he's got 2 more level 3s. I'm at 3-0. So he goes with the Mashiro combo. I believe it totals out to like 7 attacks, right? Something like that. Because it's at end of attack, pay 2, send it to memory, pull something from waiting room to stage.
Yes,
And he had one of those and 2 other attackers and enough stock to do all of them, and then just pull out 3 more Mashiros. He ends up going like 4-4, 4-4, 4-4, and I just take 2 of those 4s.
Oh, that's rough. All right, my matchup was against Sal Accusation. I didn't write down what version of the deck it was, but I think it was 8 wind triggers. But yeah, that game was pretty uneventful. I just won board. I don't think he ever really triggered a wind trigger to bounce anything important. If he did, it was like at times once again that didn't matter. So I just like sat there one board and then like just slowly killed him. I remember my match was being finished fairly quickly because I think he just kind of ate everything all the time, which was unfortunate for them. So I ended up winning my match, and then Ellis.
Yeah, so we go into my round, and so I'm playing against 8 Standby Slime, and I'm like, I've got this in the bag. My deck's really good here. My opening hand post clock on my first turn was double Weiss, double Nolan. I want to say it was double Weiss, double Nolan, Rize, and the Climax. Plus whatever else that didn't matter. I think 2, 4, 5. Yeah, I think that is it. Yeah. So I'm like, my hand is stacked. I'm good to go. I put down Rize and whatever the other card was. I know it was an attacker. So I swing in. I deal them some damage. They don't hit 1. They shoot me straight to 1. I'm like, all right, I'm in a great spot. Off the Rize, I grabbed combo and ditched a Nolan. On my turn, I'm able to salvage the Nolan, put down triple combo. I get 3 cards that are all useful. They handed me the Neptune, the Adachi, which I don't know why they handed that to me when they are 8 standby and put cards in front row all the time. So like I'm able to just get value off my combo, stick extra damage. They go to 1/6. They field double combo and something that just dies. They crash into me. They stand by out a Geld. I Adachi the Geld. I'm doing fantastic. My game's going well. They hit 3, and I am like 2-2 when they hit 3. They hard play a Milm event. Nothing happens. Like they hit nothing off of it. I'm out. I have 1 in deck at that point. They hit me to 3. So we're tied on damage at the end of their turn. And time gets called. So we spent the entirety of time at level 3. They were turn 0. They take an exceptionally long turn. I want to say they took like an 8-minute turn almost, because I remember 2-minute warning getting called on my turn, and
I think that's what happened, because I remember watching your game and just I was like, why isn't this guy doing anything like for a long time?
Well, he asks me power like 4 times. He asks me to see my waiting room twice, and I'm like, what is going on? He looks through his waiting room like 3 times. Like, he played an exceptionally slow game, and the judge is standing there the entire time. I kind of look over the judge, and the judge doesn't say anything, so I'm like, okay, sure. So he goes through like 8 minutes of our clock. It passes to my turn. I put down Ruby combo in 2 lanes. I don't stick enough damage to put him behind me. I think I'm like, 3-5, and he's 3-4 at the end of my turn. He goes into his turn. Time gets called. And I triple cancel. And so when time gets called, I'm about to start my last turn. and that was it. He was at 3-4. I was at 3-5.
One thing to note about that too is you had, was it 1 or 2 judge calls at your table too that ate up time?
So he had I can't remember what he did. And it's not my notes. He had resolved an effect that he shouldn't have resolved. It was similar. I know it was similar to the situation with the discard a card, like that got the Mushoku player DQ'd. It was a similar situation to that where they had to judge shuffle his deck. We lost like a minute of time on his first turn because of that. And I don't think it was intentional to eat the clock, but it could have been. So the first judge was just going to allow it, and the second judge was standing there. Like the first judge was just going to give him a warning and tell him it was irreparable game state, not to do it again. The second judge was like, no, we need to reshuffle what should be in the deck and put the card back in his hand for him to go through the proper steps. So we lost like a full minute, if not more than that, off of that ruling, and didn't get an extension.
Yeah, that's rough. And I think I remember too, wasn't there, because I remember a spectator talking to you afterwards saying there was some scenario where...
Yeah, okay. So I was able to play a restander on the turn that I put into 3, because I was at 3 as well. So I put down restander, or maybe it was the turn before. Yeah, so it's been like, we've been there for 10 hours almost, something like that. Like, we've been there for a long time. It's like 7 o'clock at night. I play down restander. I swing over his card. I reverse it. And I go into my next attack with it, and then he counters over me. So when we clean up at the end of that turn, I don't think of his card being reversed because he reversed me. So why would he be reversed in that situation if he was bigger? So it didn't click. I don't know what happened, like what the disconnect was there. But he had a card in play that should not have been in play that got to swing for extra damage because of it, and I completely missed it. It wasn't until after the match where a spectator came over and it's like, so what happened? Did he counter on your first attack or your second one? I was like, well, he countered on my second attack, and they're like, so his card should have died at the end of turn, and I was like, I felt real stupid, and it felt real bad. I was like, and at that point, like, the judge had already reported the match. There's nothing we could do about it, and that sucked. Like, I don't know how I missed that.
The game was pretty unfortunate on multiple angles.
Yeah,
that's really rough.
I have to chalk it up to the day being really long. And
no, for sure.
But like, yeah, that sucked, and I felt real bad about that. Like, I think I am solely the reason we got fourth place, not third, and that's part of it right there. Like.
Yeah, I mean, everyone on the team was the reason we even made top 8, so don't fucking beat yourself up about it. Long day, people make mistakes later into the day.
Right.
That's really... why did they counter on the second swing instead of the first?
I don't know. But yeah, I didn't figure that out either.
That's an interesting play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be sure. That is a legal play, but that is an interesting play.
Right.
Yeah. Well, does the restand happen at...
End of attack.
End of attack. Maybe they were like, I'll do the first one, the second one he'll swing again, then he can't side attack the second attack and he has to lose the character, maybe? I don't know. That is really weird. That's all I'm going to say. So right. we end up 4th place that day. Honestly, the only people I feared in that room was Clinton and Broderick, if anyone else. They were the only two people.
Didn't get to play them.
Yeah, they were the only 2 people in the room that I was like, okay, those people are like, those are actually people we have to like, think and try hard against. Everyone else was like, I don't want to say free, but I wasn't worried. I didn't know how good they were, and so I just assumed they were average local player like rating or whatever. So I just went into those games just trying to play clean, and that was it. I just know if we ended up in the finals against Broderick and Clinton, those games are definitely going to be the toughest games of the day for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So congratulations.
Maybe somebody noticed this, but in my entire report, I never played against Mushoku. I barely even played against standby decks. I specifically requested seat A after we played in Chicago, and like, what was it, like 60% of the field had an 8 standby deck on seat A. So I was like, my deck is tuned to beat 8 standby. Put me in seat A, and I saw none of them. Not only that, I hit bad matchups through a lot. So I feel me pulling ahead with the 4-4 total record was better than I could have expected with how bad of matchups that I hit.
Yeah, I ended 6-2 that day. You know, honestly, you should blame what's it? Why am I blanking on her name right now? Weiss Tea Time. Her stats
Lua, I think,
changed.
right?
Yeah,
No,
Taya.
Taya.
Yeah, that's right. Her stats actually made people change seats, probably. So you blame her.
That might actually be it. I was
No.
expecting like the general population to not know about her site.
I don't know. At that
And,
point, I think
and still put everybody on
anyone,
A.
yeah, I think anyone who's coming to regionals and like with like trying to win probably knows about Weiss Tea Time and Taya's like work. Shout outs to her. She does a lot of like really good stats and everything and collecting data for everyone in the community. So check out her blog when you get a chance. But yeah, so we ended up 4th place. Congratulations to Broderick's and Clinton's team. Their third was Connor. Yeah. Their third was Connor. Congratulations to them for winning first. This is their second. Clinton and Broderick's second first place this year so far for teams.
Yeah,
They won Chicago as well, didn't they?
Yeah, they won Chicago. Yeah. I think they're going. Yeah, they're going to New Jersey because I asked them because we were looking for a third for New Jersey. And I'm almost 100% sure they're going to be at Texas because I flew out with Texas.
Yeah, I think they said they were going to Texas.
Yeah.
I thought they were iffy about New Jersey, but they might be going to New Jersey.
I can't believe Clinton decided to stop giving other people promos.
What?
They're just going to get first place at all of them. Clinton's cracked.
Oh yeah. They'll be like that one year where I won
so
everything.
we played against. I played against them in Chicago when I played it in Chicago. My teammates lost their round. They were playing against Broderick and Clinton, respectively. Clinton was heel slime, like some choice slime build that.
No, it was he plays Pants Book Slime with the burn 4 top
Because the
end.
4
Yes.
eventually 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is correct. You're right. It wasn't choice. You are correct. And then Broderick was on Mishoku. Their seat B I played against was Vince. He was playing Bang Dream, and our game wasn't even really a game. Like I got the impression from that game. It was the first time I had played against Bang Dream in a setting. So I got the impression that the deck didn't really do anything. So when we went to Atlanta, round 1, it still didn't feel like the deck did much. Like I lost that game in time, but I didn't see them pull off a level 3 combo. Like it was just vanilla swings. I don't know what the deck. I still don't know what that deck
Did
does.
they never put down the Choo-Choo with the Pareo?
Every time someone put it into play, it would go to back row, and I would shut it off with a Nolan.
That'll do it.
Interesting.
So yeah, so I never got to see what the combo did.
All right, but yeah, that was our Atlanta run or whatever that city we were in. I don't remember.
Duluth.
Duluth, that's what it was.
Oh, something like that.
I just keep saying Atlanta because it was always in Atlanta before. I like that center that we were at though. I hope they reuse that same place again.
Yeah,
That
center
place
really
was
nice.
great.
It was really dry.
Yeah, it was very spacious though. I appreciated that. It was nice and cool all through the day.
Yeah,
And it also wasn't just a pain in the ass to get to,
right.
because there was parking surrounding that place.
Parking was cheap.
Oh yeah, it was like $5 for the entire day.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna end our stream on something a little bit more fun. I don't know if anyone here that was been basically AFK this entire time was looking at the thread, but there is a thread on Global that has the question. Let's hear those unpopular opinions. So we figured to end the stream, we'll go through it and have some good laughs and talk about some of these unpopular opinions. Did any of you guys pick any choice ones out while we were doing this, or were you guys just like?
I figured we were just gonna scroll through or whatever, so I didn't pick out anyone.
Yeah.
Ooh, I didn't know I was supposed to, but I
Well,
did.
it's such a
I
good
did
farm for
read through the
content,
thread.
though.
Yeah. All right. We'll just kind of skim through it.
It's a lot of collector
Collector drama.
pro, collector cons. Like
We
it's a
hate
lot of
collectors.
that stuff. So
Yeah, I think for the most part, a lot of the people online hate collectors. I think that's
I don't
a pretty
understand
given.
that,
Me
but-
either.
I don't get it either. No, I mean all they do is make the cards so
I'll tell you.
cheap.
The one, yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. I think I like that it makes the base rarity cards super affordable for anybody who wants to get into this game. But it does kind of suck a little bit that your SPs are like really high end, especially if it's a character like Asuna from Sword Art that people like.
No, they're cheap.
Like
They're cheap.
What?
A lot of SPs are actually cheaper now due to the influx. It's only the old stuff that got bought up, but like the old stuff was already impossible to find, right? like you couldn't find Monogatari signs forever, and now they're just $3,000, right? It's like kind of like that.
I think so.
It's
I
like,
think
well,
it just.
you couldn't find it before.
I think collectors just shined a light to the fact of a lot of the old stuff had printing issues where we didn't get a lot of product, and so unless you were playing at that time, it's like really hard to get a hold of now.
They're being treated like actual collector's items now. So
Yeah.
You don't need them to play the game. I think
yeah,
some people miss that.
Cosmetics are not required.
Listen, there was this Giga Chad person there who made this crazy comment. He was like, collectors have been a huge driving force in getting new players in the community by flooding the market with low rarity cards, making the game easily accessible to anyone on a budget. And then this Giga Chat also said, also financially unstable people need to stop crying about how they can't afford their $500 SP compared to their Japanese counterpart that's at $150 for their SP. And they said, stop
this is your post.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the Giga Chat post. Stop bitching about your ability.
Who else would he be
Stop.
referring to?
I was like, stop bitching about your ability to play an SP card if you can't afford it. SP cards are not required to play the game. Like, unironically, I think collectors, by flooding the market with the lower rated cards, have helped a lot of people. I've gotten a couple other people who were kind of casually interested in Weiss, but always saw it as like a $300 investment. Now able to pick up some top tier decks at like under $100. They bought into the game now because
Yeah, like I bought Mushoku and it was like 100. I think after your edits to it was like 130 is what I paid for it.
Yeah, and that's like
it's a tier 1 deck.
I'm looking at getting Quince for whenever set 2 releases because I already own it in JP, so I'm familiar with the deck already, and like everything to get the meta deck for now, as well as the staples for the deck that's coming up with set 2, is only going to cost me like $100.
Yeah, it's insane how cheap everything is now.
Yeah, I really like it. It makes it really easy
How cheap is HoloLive stuff right now? Because I'm expecting that to be pennies.
All right, I have a thing made by someone at our locals. I will not be sharing this, but they have a tracker that shows the double R playset price. Let me see. Is it pinned here in their Discord? It is. So right now, for a playset of HoloLive double R's only, is $198.16 if you bought it from TCG Player, and it's been going down since day one. I think this started
higher than I would have expected.
Well, I mean that makes sense.
That's still incredible.
I think if this is a 12, isn't this a 12 double R set also?
Yes.
It's the same with Quince. I mean, the most expensive card in Quince, you have like double rare Azusa, like or Chiuri, that's a bomb, and you're like, wow, that in the past that'd be a $10 card, and it's 50 cents, and you're like, oh, yeah, really? I guess like just sets aren't worth money because all the money gets ate up by the foils because this game doesn't have a lot of players. Like all things considered, adding a couple collectors that are sitting there just cracking cases, there's not enough players to absorb that. So it's great for the ones who do.
Yeah,
and I am all for more people playing this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I like I said, like ever since I noticed the increase of collectors and then the crazy decline in like price for low rarity cards, I've noticed more people get into the game. I've told people about it, people who were on the fence before, and they've gotten into the game and they're still in the community now to this day, which is really, really cool in my opinion. If we can grow the community more,
for me,
the more we grow the community, that means there will be more SPs out there, more foil cards, so people will get cheaper.
What
cheaper
does
cards.
Disgust me beyond belief is like the Mushoku trial decks, right? Where it's like you just pre-order a case. I know that like they end up selling out their allocation for cases, which I think is absurd. But like, right, like a case is like I think it's like $720, $750.
No, it's a little bit more than. Wait, actually, it's probably around there. It's around the $800 range or less, a little bit.
Yeah, for a case of TDs, and then
that's
you're
if
like,
you
okay,
pre-order
one
it,
of the
obviously.
One of the SPs is
Sold
like
4,000.
what the Rudy's like 150 or so.
Yeah, 150,
And then
200, and then
oops, this other one's 1,500. And then you see people grading. Oh my god, when they're grading a card that just came out and they're like, oh, nobody has a 9.5 for this. It's like everyone has a 9.5. You've seen Weiss card quality? I can go grade a card that I pulled in 2012, and if I haven't like shuffled it without a sleeve, it's probably getting a 9. And these people are like,
the
no,
card
it's
quality's
impossible.
really high. Yeah.
They're like, it's impossible. It's so rare. I can't believe I have.
I
this.
will say, I don't know if you guys have seen any of the HoloLive English SSPs.
That's
one
all
of our
SSPs.
local boys. one of our local boys cracked a case. The SSPs are really off center in English.
No, that's all SSPs. Bang Dream has
Really?
it too. All SSPs.
Really?
is Bang
Okay.
Dream.
Yeah, SSP is the
Yeah.
same.
I remember somebody grading one of the Yukina level 3s. Like, they pulled it and then immediately sent it to get graded, and it came back with like an 8.5 for all.
You know
for
that's
being
been
off center.
forever. It's because of that extra layer with the gold. That gold never matches up fully.
Yeah, it was
And
the rainbow like background.
It's been that way forever. My first Bang Dream case, the Hogami, was like super off center, but like that's just what people accept. It's kind of like the Ghost from the past. If people have played Yu-Gi-Oh and seen that, where the cards are like every single Ghost rare has the foil shifted. It's the same thing with the. You're never gonna get a on specifically those SSPs. You're never gonna get those. But,
Yeah.
I mean, the card from the TD is not an SSP, right?
No, it's not.
All this grading makes somebody happy, so
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
the
it's
grade-
definitely more positive than negative. I don't know what everybody's on about in this thread. I can't believe there's still people angry.
In the long run, I think collectors are just good in general. I think we can kind of all agree on that.
I'm upset because the collectors don't collect the things I own. Okay, I think
as
it's
long as you
absurd.
recognize it as that, we're good.
I think it's absurd where like there are cards that like I feel like should be more expensive that like aren't, and then there are cards that are like dog water, like absolute garbage, and then the collector's like, I will pay infinite money for this card. You're like, oh my god, please stop.
I mean, it's a collector's item. It's being treated as a collector's item and not a game piece, which I feel like these cosmetics should be treated as, is the collector's item.
No, they go in your deck and you riffle shuffle them.
Okay, that's you.
The first comment in this thread is, I riffle my cards, even the SPs.
I do
Yeah.
too.
I hate you guys. I hate you so much.
I've
But
seen her do it. That's
I'm pretty
Jessica.
sure I watched Dean riffle shuffle his 3 Yukina climaxes from
Four.
that,
I have 4 of those, sir.
Oh, yeah,
You guys
4 of them now. Right. I think at the time you only had 3 though, and you just riffled like very close to riffle shuffled them in your deck.
Dude, they're meant to be played. If you don't play your cards, what was the point?
Oh, this comment in chat, Aqua Commons inflating the market. I remember when that Snow Aqua is like worth like $5 or something ridiculous.
You
No,
see-
that card was worth like $40.
Oh god,
at one
I
point.
hope nobody is paying $1 or whatever
You guys-
for that Aqua Common.
if you guys want to be horrified, I now have a rarer card than the Yukina Climax. I have 3 Lee Reds.
Oh
Oh god.
I will shuffle those.
Yeah, this
Oh,
thing's
yeah.
at like $1.40 and it's selling. Like, please do not buy this common at $1.40.
How much is kind of unrelated? How much is a toilet event at now? Is that still absurd?
It's probably like $15-$20 easy, maybe more. I think, is it still
Right.
played in JP? Because if it is, it's still gonna
$35
Oh my god.
on TCG Player.
That's incredible.
Oh, let me go
Toilet
find
is-
mine. I need to sell my toilet.
This is what Weiss could be. This is what Weiss could be. Weiss could have
No.
$35 uncommons.
Oh my god, it's well.
Listen.
I mean, they're old and like nobody print runs, right? That's like a big problem.
Yeah.
Listen, you've not lived and played a real card game until you've watched somebody riffle shuffle Power 9.
Oh my god. I don't want to talk about Power 9.
Look.
Please no.
You haven't lived until you've seen someone spill coffee on an underground sea.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Or pizza.
Yeah,
my
pizza.
God.
Just like
I
drop
saw someone
pizza.
on an underground sea once. He still owns it.
I like
That's
this.
strong.
I like to get back in the thread. I like this one in the thread. It's 8 standby decks is for handless players. Kind of true. You gotta live.
There's some dude. There is some like major standby hate in this thread too. A lot of people like saying standby is a mistake. Like,
Okay, so when you play standby mirrors, sure, but when you play standby into a 1K1 deck that is not geared to beat you, it is like actually
hand,
the most
baby.
unbelievably one-sided match.
Yeah, it's really weird. I think 8 standby decks in some way show when people like actually can think about the game and not just like brain dead pilot. Because I've seen players who are winning board every turn with 8 standby, but they continue to clock every turn for no
Yeah.
reason, just because they have a 3-card hand. But you just won 3 lanes on board. It's like you have 6 cards, and you know whether or not your opponent's going to be able to answer next turn. You just
Hey, here's
subtracted
a hot
3 cards
take.
from your
The clock,
opponent.
the clock phase is overrated.
What? What am I? Listen, the clock phase isn't overrated. What am I supposed to do other than
I
draw,
don't know.
clock, brainstorm? If I don't clock in between my into my
Timmy
draw and,
Tussle?
brainstorm, what will I
Timmy
do?
Tussle?
I'm like almost on the other end. I think standby is a little bit more skill testing as a way to play the game.
I think it is,
No.
especially the mirror matches.
I think it's
No,
entirely
actually
dependent upon
fake news,
matchup.
guys.
I'll agree with the mirror matches where it becomes a little more.
Dean's right about that one point though. Yeah.
What did you say, Dean?
If you play a mirror match with standby, sure, I can somewhat understand that.
Dean's
But
like, if you have a
whenever
1k1 deck that's like tuned to beat you.
Yeah,
Like-
like whenever, like not even tuned to beat you. Like you just like, yeah, well, especially when it's not tuned. Like, right, like let's say you're playing like 8 standby Mushoku, and you play against Bang Dream, like of any kind that's not playing the 15/5s at level 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like, right, like any form of Bang Dream, you just sit there and you don't have to do anything. They literally just implode.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like that's like most of the time like what an 8 standby deck does. They just kind of like sit there, and it's like not. It takes 0 effort on their part.
Can't you put that back on the 1k1 player to like adapt in literally any way other than running in the exact same thing with no changes?
No.
Okay.
Listen, I like when the 1-to-1 player plays 3 characters at climax every turn and double brainstorms every turn, and they always plus, and then they have infinite hand. There's nothing to do with it.
I think it's like it's like hard to explain, but like when the 8 standby deck is just winning board. And
No,
then, like,
I think if it totally makes sense, honestly.
I get what you're saying.
yeah,
Yeah. If you're not playing like a modern 1k1 deck that can easily slot in things like Adachi's or like these cards that get crazy power on turn to beat over standby or whatever, like I do think that's where it shows.
Yeah,
That it's
if
like,
you can't pressure the 8 standby opponent, then like they win the game automatically. I feel like
Right.
they don't need
I think it
skill
comes
to win.
down to the fact that the 8 standby decks of now are so much better than the 8 standby decks of when standby first came out. Because whenever standby first came out and we first started seeing 8 standby decks, a 1k1 deck could just tri-field slam climax every turn and use that as this is how I win this matchup. But now that can only get you so far because this 8 standby decks have access to better tools to combat even that line of play. Like,
Yeah, and also
Mushoku having tap counter means you're only getting 2 attacks every couple of turns now.
more than the tap counter. I think the absurd thing about 8 standby decks is like all of them get twin drive now. And so like Mushoku can literally stare at you and go, I'm crashing my board, and then they like spawn more cards, and you're like, what the actual fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Like
I think it might have been printed as like an enabler for 8 standby, but it just leads to things like that happening where
Yeah, where you're
crashing
like-
doesn't mean as much and their stock is just always clean.
yeah, and then suddenly they go, oops, I guess I have I guess even though I was originally crashing 3 lanes, I ended on 3 Pauls. And you go, wow, that's pretty good. And then there's literally nothing you can do in response. It's
You
like
mean 3 Pauls and a Roxy in back row, right?
Oh yeah, well because they had to play the standby first, and then triple trigger,
Right.
while crashing, and you just go, oh, yeah.
All right. Here's another comment. What's your guys' opinion on it? It's collectors saved the game from going under, and you should be grateful.
I think that's true.
I don't think
Yeah.
it's going under, but I'm definitely not complaining about the collectors.
Oh,
Weiss
man.
was in a rough spot,
So-
like beginning of COVID.
Oh, especially with oh my god, before they started the quality control, before like they did that like post JoJo when they're like 32 erratas in a 100 card set, and you're like, oh, like you guys are just like Google translating these cards. I see.
I think collectors
Yep.
definitely saved the game from being super stagnant as far as player base growth, and I think if they didn't show up, I think there was a good chance our community would have shrunk a lot more. But I think, like I said, I think we're all in agreement. I think they've been mostly healthy for the community. All right, here's a big one. Yue Peng greater than Christian Yarbacher. Thoughts?
Do you even play this game anymore?
I don't think so.
I still have my money from when I beat Jarbacher.
Fair. So the Yue Peng obviously.
Frame it.
I see
Make
like
him sign it.
Oh, that would have been funny. We should have had them all sign the money they gave
Ooh,
us. That
don't
would've been a
worry,
good meme.
I'll hand it to him next year.
Next
I'll
year,
just show up
yeah,
and be
or
like-
this year, right? Because singles, Japan's supposed to open up in June, and hopefully there's going to be Worlds. Oh yeah, it'll be next year because it's always in January. I'm an idiot, but yeah,
I'll go here. I want you to sign this from 2 years ago. I've kept it for this long.
I still have Ryan's money. I'll have him sign it if we win again. Oh man.
so I see like 4 comments on this thread speaking negatively of brainstorms.
Yeah, fuck brainstorms, man. Brainstorms.
What do we think about that?
All right, hold on. I saw another Giga Chat post by someone.
Oh my
Brainstorm-
god.
Oh yeah, there's another self-proclaimed Giga Chad.
Yeah,
saying
brainstormers are what cause huge
upsets.
upsets in player skill more often than cancels do. Change my mind.
I
I've lost more
completely
games to I've lost more games to brainstorms than anything. I've seen people go from 1-card hands to I hit 2 on this brainstorm and I do this, and I have a 7-card hand again. I'm like, oh my god, please end my
It is
life.
such an incredibly good crutch in this game to just be able to pay 1, tap a character, and suddenly have at least 1 more hand. Because if you are already playing in a good way, your deck is already going to be in a state where you should be able to hit the brainstorm the majority of the time. So you're being rewarded for doing well even further, and the rich are getting richer.
I mean, it's not even like. I think it's also absurd because it's not even just like you brainstorm. It's just grab anything.
Yeah, just grab
Like,
anything.
That's so
What are
powerful.
the scenarios though where you brainstorm, where you need that brainstorm to be able to continue to play the game? Because there are times like that where your deck bricks and you have to rely on tools that you have to
You have to sack,
continue
is
to
what
play
he's
the
saying.
game, and the brainstorm is one of those.
Why aren't
things.
you sacking them?
Imagine
God damn it.
Weiss, where nobody has brainstorms.
To be fair, go ahead. Sorry, I'm cutting you off.
meta, the meta probably changes and revolves around the fact that we don't have brainstorms. Or, I guess unknown unknowns. The play of the game would just be very different. It'd be very more conservative in the way you play because the cards you get are the cards you have.
Konosuba immediately becomes the top tier deck because it relies on the resonator.
One other thing I think about that though is I feel like almost nowadays I almost never brainstorm for cards. I just brainstorm for deck speed, like 9 times out of 10. Sometimes
it's so worse. So, like you can brainstorm just for deck speed, and the plus is good. You can brainstorm to clear out your stock. You can use it to come back from a game that you're losing.
Yeah.
Personally, I moved away.
They do everything.
Do you think
The only reason that nobody really complains about it is because every single deck printed since like 2016 has one. All of them.
Do you think in that case then single card brainstorms were a mistake? Like self-tap brainstorms were a mistake? What should have been?
Oh my god! When it's not tap self, it's so unbelievably bad.
So yes, they were a mistake.
I think that would be more fair.
Brainstorm should be tapped too.
Plusing brainstorm should be plus two or tap 2 if it's you get it select the card. Is that kind of what people think in here?
I think the best way you would be able to balance it is tap itself and something else. That way you can't do like shenanigans with the Shiki combo or whatever in summer pockets.
Now, where I'm probably the minority here. I try to actually almost cut down on like brainstorm. I almost just try to not brainstorm my first deck at this point. Or I'm loving the draw brainstorms that mill 5 because they add deck speed. Plus, not only do they have the deck speed aspect, but I'm more likely to hit because usually in the early game, like I don't like brainstorm because it's just so unlikely, right? I think it's like 40-50%.
It is not favored.
It is not
deck
favored.
one.
What about like the Goblin Slayer or the Alization brainstorms, like the Elf and the
Well, those
the
are tap
Alice
2.
that are
and
tap
they're-
2 and they mill 6 and hit on trigger.
Those lock you into like an archetype, so I don't care about those. Those lock you into like a thing, which will lead
I think the implication
into.
is that we're talking about genericized brainstorms.
Yeah, we're talking about generic brainstorms,
Right.
but does that lead perfectly into my
No, so
rant?
you talk about that right at the end. Here's another one. Here's another one.
I don't know what this is referring to,
yeah.
so I'm scared for what Dean might have to say.
So here's another one that I thought was kind of interesting. It's bad game design that even when one player is massively ahead, Weiss
about to bring this one up.
win condition still requires 20 or 30 minutes. And 2, it's still possible for other players to make a comeback within those 30 minutes. A better game either should have a much smaller chance or chance for a comeback, so that we can scoop a lopsided opener and move on to the next game, or should have the same decent chance of a comeback but take far less time to finish. What do you guys think of that?
I think that's right. Because, okay, you know what's even worse than what that comment says?
What?
Is the fact that this happens so often, too, and I don't think this is a plus for the game. How often are you just sitting there and your opponent has, like, absolutely demolished you, right? Like, you opened, like, 5 climaxes, something absurd, right? And they are canceling, and they're healing, and they're compressed, and then you randomly stick 9 damage and they die. And you're just like, holy, what a awful game we play. Where I was miserable for 20 minutes, losing for 5 out of 6 turns. My opponent was winning. I canceled a 3-5 lethal twice, and then I vanilla swung. I did single finisher, and that single finisher stuck 7 damage.
He's one of those people that's going to complain the entire time that he's winning when he wins.
It's true.
Okay.
Dean does that often.
This is known.
This is known. However, is this not a problem with the game that we play?
I don't think so, because I have always made the comparison of Weiss to blackjack. It like the action of flipping cards is very similar, and the math that you have to do to be good at blackjack, and the math you have to do to be good at Weiss is very similar.
Okay, but
sometimes you're just on your last hand for the day. You're dealt an 18, and you're just like hit, and you immediately hit 21, and you win the hand.
But what happens?
Sometimes that just happens.
What happens when you're at 11 and you say hit and they flip a 12 and you die? Because that's Weiss, baby. What I feel like. You're like,
hey, Dean, you want to know something? On 11, for all but four of what the dealer is showing, you hit.
No,
That's
I'm
what
saying,
you're supposed to do.
imagine they flip over a 12 or something. Like, right? Imagine they flip over a card that's not in the deck. And that's what losing those games
Yeah,
feel like.
if they flip over a card that does not exist, you got it.
Because it's like those games where you're like, okay, I'm like 8 in like 20.
Correcting myself, you always double down on 11.
Look,
it's 12 that you hit on
playing
everything
Weiss
except for 4 hands.
has taught me anything, it's that statistics are fake. You can always win.
Math is not real.
And you can always
Confirmed.
lose.
Oh man.
Like,
Alright,
I don't know.
That's just what stat is. 20% is still 20%.
Like, I don't know.
It's so much lower. It's so much lower. You go into the hypergeometric calculator. I wish nobody had ever shown me that thing.
The hypergeo calculator,
In
yeah.
there, and there's like
Never
5 zeros
looked.
before the first number.
Yeah, I
and
stopped
you're
looking at that for quite a
Yeah.
while. After our loss in
insane.
top 8 in Chicago, when we did the math afterwards and it was 0.3% or some shit, I was like, yeah, I'm never looking at this shit again. This
like,
is so
oh my
dumb.
God.
Oh, it's so depressing. You look at the hypergeo and you're like, why did I do that? Never look.
It's
You just
literally
have to take our
self-harm.
chance. Sometimes you get unlucky, but think about it. Sometimes you're the person in that position that's sticking the 9.
Oh my God. But I don't feel good when that happens. Because I know that was a disgusting game.
Look, being able to recognize that it was a disgusting game is better than the players that go, I built my deck to do that.
It feels gross, but that gross feeling still probably feels better than being the one taking the 9. It evens out.
You're like, it's better to break your arm than your leg.
yeah, basically.
Oh,
Oh
man.
my God.
All right. Next comment. This one's interesting. Refresh damage should be cancelable. What did you guys think of that?
I think
yeah,
that's a
that'd
horrible
be-
idea. I
that
think
would
that
be
is
so
a
hype.
I would
horrible
never take
idea.
damage.
That'd be so hype, dude. Please. You know how many times I refresh point climax? Please. Please. Let that happen.
Oh my god.
But if it's cancelable, does it also trigger damage scries on your opponent's turn?
Yes.
Broken.
Sure, why not? But yeah, I don't think that's a good design idea. Because yes, it feels really bad to refresh a climax, but it doesn't actually happen that often.
Yes, it
Whoa.
does.
Yes,
whoa,
it
whoa.
happens every game, but it doesn't actually happen that often.
What do you mean? You don't mean every refresh? What kind of games are you playing? Are you blessed? Teach me your secret.
No, I just remember the high points where I don't refresh the climax.
That's a good way of looking at it.
Hawk, and I'm just like, huh, that sucks, and I move
Player
on.
psychology.
All right. What about this? Recent 1K1 decks require much less thinking than standby decks at top of the meta.
At the top of the
On
meta.
one hand, I want to
agree.
disagree with that, but on the other hand, at the Strictly Broken tournament, I brought Quince because I knew I could focus less, and it was an online tournament.
There's definitely some truth to that. Like modern 1K1 decks are
Self-piloting.
Yeah, so like 1K1 decks actually benefit a lot more from that 20% scenario where, oops, you just take damage, because they're swinging bigger numbers more often.
Yeah. I think I can agree with this.
But
comment.
at the same time, I feel like an 8 1K1 and an 8 standby deck are going to take, on average, the same skill level. It's going to depend on the deck, and it's going to depend on the matchup, and it's going to depend on the meta. So just, I think it averages out to about the same, but 1K1 decks definitely capitalize on the RNG factor of the game a lot more than 8 standby decks would.
If there is a gap there, I think it's very minute. But I think 1K1 decks are a little bit more brain dead in general. It's just in my opinion. All right, we have another Giga Chad comment here. Weiss has just as many opportunities for skill expression as other TCGs, and people who insist otherwise have a lacking understanding of the game, of the variants of TCGs, or the variants of TCGs in general.
That's me. I'll out myself.
Armin, I really like this comment because I fully agree with you.
Yeah, I feel like I get in the argument with people who are longtime Magic players, a lot of which are some of my locals, about this, where they go, like, oh, in Magic, you just win every time, like, if you're the better player, and Weiss just doesn't like that. And I was like, how many times have you mana screwed? Like, how many times have you land flooded? And then they always come back, well, then you just go game 2. And I go, well, imagine if Weiss had a game 2. Like,
We've done it. It's awful.
It is terrible. We have done that, and I do not wish that upon anybody.
Like, a lot of people can't see past the fact that Weiss is a best of one, and a lot of their problems with the game come down to that. Because, like, at the end of the day, I do think there is, like, honestly, more opportunities for skill expression in Weiss than there is in a game like Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh! Or something like that. But that's mostly, I'm in complete agreement in Yue's one video about, like, Weiss skill in Weiss and stuff like that he did. Completely in agreement with him.
Yeah, I think one of the issues with some of those people is that they don't realize that even though you get dealt this really garbage hand, you still get to play the game, and you still have opportunities to win the game. But
that's one of my absolute favorite aspects of Weiss, is just you can always have a game. Yeah,
you still get to play the game unless, like, you literally get shat on like 5 turns in a row from every draw and everything. I've never had a game, or 99% of the games I play in Weiss are still playable no matter how bad I've opened. And a lot of those games I've won. I've even at a regional, I literally passed turn twice at the start of a game against Dean and won that game at a regional.
Yeah, like
that just goes to show you how bad my luck is.
No, my game against the Alicization player in Atlanta, I opened 3 climaxes. I mulled 2 of those climaxes and another character, and I drew 3 climaxes. And I was like, well, this sucks. And I still won that game.
Yeah.
There are ways to play out of these things. I just sculpted for more more Ozzuses and Amagis.
Just gotta be like Carmen. He looked at my hand at 5 climax when he said, "You should play more Cowgirls."
Yeah, that's what I did. You should play more
no characters in my hand, and he said,
"No." Yeah, I mean that's the joke, right? Like there are low rolls that are inescapable, but they're not as common as people think. I've seen Dean open unescapable low rolls more than any other person. Though. He is
Me
cursed.
too. It's so fucking funny. I laugh so hard every time.
Even
watching
more
Dean
cursed
play.
than me. I think I'm a cursed player, and then I watch Dean and I go, okay, it could get worse.
Yeah. I played Magic at a semi-competitive level for 6 months while I was on hiatus from this game, and part of what brought me back to this game is just the fact that Magic feels so bad to play competitively. Because you open the one lander, you mull, and you're like, all right, at least my 6 will be fine. And then you've got like 5 lands on your aggro deck, and you're like, well, guess I'm sending this back as well. And then your control opponent's just keeping a full 7.
Rough.
My main game is Shadowverse, and it's really funny. Sometimes you're like, I went first, I guess I lose.
Oh, that's true.
That game sucks, Dean.
I
Sucks
remember-
so
Oh,
much.
it's so good.
What was the? It was one of the metas where it was what's the mage class in this called? Spell, whatever. It was some spell boost deck, and I remember being like, I'm playing the mirror, and I lost coin flip because I'm going first because I didn't draw that extra card. I lose the game immediately.
It's good, isn't it?
It's so dumb. I hate Shadowverse, but it's definitely a good time sink. Hopefully the real TCG, the physical TCG will be a lot of fun. All right.
Magic actually just had a ban list recently where they had to ban a card in a format because it was so incredibly polarizing in best of one on Arena. It was a high roll combo deck where on turn 4 they won or they didn't, and it was people were way too annoyed queuing into best of one just to play their game, and then they go like land mana dork, turn 2 land some other 3-drop. Turn 4, land, play the combo piece, and then they just won or they didn't.
Oh man,
That doesn't happen in Weiss.
Yeah. Even though Weiss is the best of one game, that stuff doesn't happen.
There's no absolute nut draw in Weiss. And Weiss, you also see your entire deck at least once, usually twice.
Wait, Tyler, you own Million Live. You know about drawing the 3/7 event off the top.
Yes, but that's at the end of a game. That's after we've had an entire game.
Well, no, that plays right into what he said. You see your whole deck at least once, right? If you haven't seen the 3/7 event, you'll see it once.
It doesn't matter too much that Weiss is the best of one game because you see your entire deck every single game, usually twice, and you have so many filtering abilities, especially with modern tools.
Which brings us to another comment. Does the high selection index make the game less skillful? That was something that popped up.
I saw something in one of the discords that was put pretty well. Costless selection makes the decisions easier. Costed selections make it more skillful. And I think I agree with that statement.
Yeah, it's Tom. I can agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Do you think level 1 combos then are just like all these like free plussing level 1 combos that are pretty selective?
Well,
like...
they're not free. You have to sculpt the climax.
Oh,
I think combos are fine because like you build your whole deck around them. But
maybe we need to go back to pay 1 CX combos.
Hell yeah. Well, if you think about Eris is a 1/1 is a pay 1+1 combo.
Yeah. And until you open it and then trigger a standby. Very, very funny kid.
But
Hilarious joke.
Hilarious.
But yeah, I think whenever you have these costless plussing things, it's really easy to take the wrong thing and it doesn't matter. Because you then have your costed card in order to filter that into what you actually needed.
Yeah.
I think that one's like a really tough can of worms because there are things that like the game has done in recent time that I feel like makes it continuously harder to express skill. Where like I just like the finishers being like on attack or they do something absurd and bypass actual game mechanics like something like Summer Pockets where it's like it does damage but on attack before counter step and Like it's stuff like that, right?
I was reading an article for Magic at one point in time, and I think it applies here. The the more decisions you have in a game, the less those decisions are going to matter. Just statistically based on how many of those decisions you have. If you have less decisions, the making the correct choice in those decisions is more important because you have so few of them.
Oh, that's pretty
And
true. I've
in
never
modern
thought of
Weiss,
that.
you have a lot of decisions to make.
Yeah, there's a fuck ton on every turn, which I think what draws people into the like taking the game. I hate to say taking the game more seriously, which I guess is a segue to like another point in this thread. But when you take the game more seriously, it does like I don't know. It's hard to word.
Well, I think I've always explained it as it's like a bell curve where you start off and you're like, this game is all luck, no skill. And then you keep playing, you're like, I see the skill, I see the lines. And then at a certain point you get really jaded and you just go, this game is all luck and no skill.
I don't think I've hit that jaded point, but I think
At the other end, I think you're just like all card games are this. Like because it is the same.
It's a natural thing, but like
I have always said Weiss is no more or less RNG based than any other card game that I have played. Weiss is just very in your face about it.
Yes, that is what I always say. It is upfront about where the variance is.
For every 9 that I take, I think back to these arena opens that I paid $25 to enter to have a chance at a shot at making like $1,000 or something, and I just I start my first game and it's just I have no lands in my hand and I'm like, this is a really cool game.
yeah, I mean,
it's the same. Taking that 9 and opening no lands, it's the same feeling to me.
All right, I have a comment here. It's kind of toxic. Maybe we end up being toxic about it. I don't know. I don't think so. I'm gonna.
This is probably what I was trying to segue to.
I don't know. I don't know if this is the same thing. But this comment is really interesting to me. They basically say why I stopped playing for over a year was because of toxic influential players. I think they took that stance there as they thought about this incorrectly. I think if people think there's too many toxic influential players in the community, the bar to make content, the bar to become someone in the community and like help guide players in this community is so fucking low. You literally just got to get out there and make any content. Yeah. If you make good content and people like what you're saying and doing, people will follow you, and a lot of these quote-unquote toxic influential players will disappear because obviously they're being toxic and not helping the community and doing their own thing, right? I think people who have this attitude, when there's people out there who make content and just try to like help the community grow and do things on their own, get upset that these players or influencers are shaping the community. And then these people are kind of like crying about it because they don't like the direction it's going. The bar is really low, man. Just put some work in there. If you like this community that much, put a little work in there, and you too can become one of those quote unquote toxic influential players and change the community to the way you would like it.
That is what I was trying to say.
I 100% agree with you, Kit.
Yeah.
That said, part of the reason I took a break from content creation was because I did not feel like the things I was making were being responded to in a positive manner or a serious manner.
I can agree with that. I think
Tyler,
now
the things that you've made,
it was really depressing, and like I've gotten over it. I no longer have that feeling, but for a time I had the feeling of just like, why am I making anything?
The videos that you have made are more influential and important than anything I've put on the PGH Weiss Schwarz channel.
I've made like 2 videos. What are you talking about?
I recommend those 2 videos more than I recommend a single one of ours. Like, you know how many times I've sent people the stock swapping video? Like, I see someone do a Randy stock swap, and then I go, you should never do that. And they go, I don't understand. And then I send them your video, and they're like, oh, now I understand. I am a big brain player now.
I do appreciate that, and I do wish more people would watch that stock swap video because I think it was I think it was Ellis that got Randy's stock swapped and got rewarded for it, and I was just like, "Yep, sometimes that happens."
It does.
It's true.
Yeah.
To kind
Yeah.
of wait, hold on. To kind of like harp on that
Actually, wait,
note
no,
too.
we ran the math after the round, and it ended up doing the
It
stock
did
swap
the
ended
same
up
exact
doing exactly nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
did
didn't
exactly
change anything.
nothing. I remember that
Yeah.
shit. Really
Yes.
quick to kind of harp on what Tyler was saying about like being what's the word? I'm
Be the
thinking?
change you want to see.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't let it get you down.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not letting it get me down. I've got a nice
Honestly-
Google Doc of stuff now.
Honestly, the only reason like outside of like our group like winning and stuff and being loud as hell because we're idiots, the only reason we have a following is we stayed with the community since the beginning and we've made content for a long time. Like if you go back to this channel, like I think our oldest video is like 2013 or something, maybe, or 14. When I first started this game, there was no one making content, and I was just like, I like watching deck techs and stuff from MTG because I love playing Magic. So I'm like, I'm gonna make some videos. It was garbage quality, and we're still garbage quality, but we're out here like putting out the work. Nowadays, it's definitely a lot harder for like people like Tyler who got in kind of late to the game of making content to get noticed, and it's like really frustrating. But like, please don't give up on it if you enjoy doing
more of
it.
I want more content.
I-
One of the things that kept me in Magic for so long, despite hating the game, was there was just an abundance of.
It's
just
endless. It's
very
endless for
interesting-
every other
So-
card game. It's endless.
So there's
Yeah.
two things. There's two things I want to say. One, at least personally, I think the hard thing is with making Weiss content is finding something that other people would enjoy to watch. Right. I like that. That's like something that like I think the community really needs. Shout out to Clock Draw Brainstorm. Right. They try to do stuff that's like funny. Right. Because like Weiss needs memes.
I think yes, you're right. I think it
Weiss
does.
needs watchable content, and if people can go out there and make that, that's good. Because, like personally, whenever I make content, I want to make something that people aren't going to get from other people, and I want something informative. But my content's dry. I would
Like
not
Shadowverse
watch my own
content.
videos.
Yeah, fuck you, Shadowverse content. All right.
No, this goes into
No,
like
no, no.
Weiss content.
I get what Dean's trying to say.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and like if you get a camera and just do something, right? Like it's not hard to break into this community.
You will find an
probably
audience.
get something.
The
Hell.
community
Yeah.
is small enough. You will find an audience if you enjoy what you are making, and you continue to make it. Somebody will find it, and somebody will
Look,
like it.
If Pittsburgh Weiss Schwarz can do it, anybody can do it. We when we started, we didn't know anything. We were pretty green at the game. We just saw a gap in content. We're like, nobody's really doing this, so we decided to do it. And we weren't doing anything new. We're still not doing anything new. But competitive focus, deck techs, and set reviews were something that at least for English at the time wasn't happening. And then top tier stuff, making videos. So now there's a gap in JP too. So we're just trying to do it all.
Yeah.
You see a
I
gap,
want
you
more
fill it.
people to play this game because I want more people making content. I want that abundance of content that Magic has in Weiss. Because
I think
I
we're
would just
there.
sit down on my breaks at work and I would just flip through an article for a format that I don't play about a deck that I don't care about, just because it's entertaining.
I do think that we're like getting there if you're new to the game, right? Where you can type
Yeah.
in like Weiss Schwarz deck techs. If you're getting into the game, there's a ton of stuff to watch. I think the big thing with our written content is that the best source for it all being compiled for people getting into the game isn't something that's publicized more. I try to shout out Patty's Weiss Almanac as often as I can. As I'm doing it out now, it's just like some of the best
The Weiss
articles.
Almanac is great.
Yeah, like it's just some of the best articles, written content, and some video content that our community has made is all archived in this one blog post. And I feel like the written content isn't as available as this for something like Magic. You can't like find like tournament or like written tournament reports and stuff as easily. Like there's Taya's stuff and that's awesome, but she's one of the only people doing it that people know. Like
I think almost the exact I think the written content for Weiss is like, well, it might be like a little bit harder to find. I think it's like really good for what's out there, right? and a lot of it's timeless, right? Like reading an article on compression or damage spreads or attack order doesn't matter.
One of my favorite articles is
Yeah.
the top tier tiers one of attack order doesn't matter.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
these are actually timeless articles that it's not like a normal card game. Oh, the format changed, right? That card's banned or something, right? These are like fundamental things in the game
I mean,
that are
you-
improved.
yeah. I mean, you can learn a lot from like old written deck profiles too. I mean, I still go back and look to Alf's. What is it? The what's the card called? The Persona card, the Execution deck tech.
Execution, yeah.
Yeah, the Execution deck tech is like when we were trying to put together that like what is it, that like Weiss Schwarz 101 or whatever idea. I try to model the stuff that I write off of that like deck tech, like how exhaustive it is and stuff like that. I think that's like really timeless too, and it's all in the almanac. Like you got to go find Patty's almanac. I think if you Google just Weiss Schwarz almanac, you can find it.
Yeah, I feel like he doesn't publicize that enough, or maybe I'm not paying attention enough in
Is it-
like
is
the
it-
group.
That
Isn't it
shit
in
needs
Discord?
pinned. I'm gonna start throwing it in the descriptions of our videos. I don't think it's pinned in Discords and resources, but it definitely should be.
He's still updating
like-
it, right?
That stuff, when people come to me and they still go like, I want to try to get better at the
No.
game, I want to try to improve. How do I get to like the next level, like whatever? And I go, you go read this. You go read this shit. Read every article on here. Know them, understand why they were written. Like that's like the next step is like those articles. It's how I did it, and if I could do it, I think anyone can. I'm an idiot.
And there are so many people out there that play this game that are smarter than me, that are just unknown players, that if they could make articles and stuff like that on their opinions on this game, I feel like it would be a net positive for the game. Because, like,
Yeah.
Articles.
I feel like my stock swap video should not be the one people go to.
Really well, though. Like, that's something I'm good at, this writing.
Yeah.
I think having access to more written stuff is a good idea. Like, maybe there should be more people to put out more like quality written content.
Man, I need
Yeah.
reviews. I have like 0 IQ.
When you sit down to write something, you have to like really put, like, even something as simple as like that stupid little article on the bucket, like that like idea of like, what is it, simultaneous auto effects or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I had to sit down
That
and be
was
like,
the first article I read when I came back from break, and that was.
I-
I talked to you about this already, Carmen. That was a good article.
oh, I had to sit down and be like, okay, I have this like idea of how to explain this like normal Weiss ruling thing, and I had to like write an outline. Like it took more effort than like any essay I'd ever wrote for like school or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's just like, oh, I care about this. You have to sit down. You have to put a lot of work into it to make that kind of stuff. Like, because like recording deck text or content and stuff like that. I don't know about you guys, but I point my screen recorder at a PowerPoint, and I turn on my microphone, and we go at it.
Yeah.
And we edit it after the fact, and it's a lot. I mean, it's not some sort of secret. Like you can tell from our content.
It's just OBS looking at a Google slideshow
Yeah, but
and
you
like
know,
a chicken scratch script that I wrote in like 2 days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and trying to convert like game knowledge to words.
yes, it's
Which
so
is
much
hard.
easier when you can talk, as opposed to I have to write it down. It has to read right. It has to sound right, read aloud. It's got to do all these things. Like it's like how long does it take me to write this stupid little bucket article? It's like not even 2 pages. It's probably like 4 or 5 days of like looking at it, changing it. How long does it take to make a deck tech for the PGH Weiss Schwarz YouTube channel? The exact amount of time that you saw recording it plus editing. Like
Well,
that's
you
how
gotta
long
make
it
the
took.
slide, right? Well, no, you have a script. You're broken.
I have some scripts. It's
Oh,
still
that's
a lot
okay.
of by hand, yeah.
The 3 PowerPoints I've put together for content have all been just made from scratch. I'm just like eyeballing my old
Look,
one. I'm just like, is this
You
how
do it
I
enough as a programmer, you gotta script something. You're gonna do this thing enough times. Number one. But yeah, it's hard to sit down and write articles, but I think some stuff comes out. We just need to be better about compiling it. We need to update the almanac more and have the almanac be more more visible, I think, is the good thing. Is I think if more people see that, more people will get inspired to write, because all the stuff on Patty's Almanac is fucking quality.
And there's some big holes in that almanac too that are looking to be filled and could be filled by another good player just with the inspiration to write.
You trying to say something?
I think
No, I'm literally saying on the almanac there's like in a parentheses there's like a slot here for article about something. I can't remember what exactly it was, but it's just something that
hasn't been covered. Yeah,
it's something that hasn't been covered. Let me pull up the Weiss Almanac and I can get exactly what it is, wherever it is. Give me a minute to find it.
All right, I wish I could just end our stream there, but I also promised Dean he could talk about his other thing. But I'm going to end with one more thing from.
Oh yeah, okay, I found it. Sorry to interrupt. It's literally a bullet point under basic deck building, looking for somebody to write, and then why good cards are good and why triggers don't matter. It's just 2 articles that probably need to be written or recorded.
And it needs an article directly under it called "Why Triggers Matter."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Staple Gate.
Those are the best things. You have somebody write an article where it's like, this thing doesn't matter, and then you have the counterpoint like directly under it. I think
I might have misread it. Right. It says reasons why triggers matter and combos don't is the full.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That one makes more sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I might have misspoke on that one. I was trying to rush through, so can't go back to what you were saying.
All right, I wanted to end everything on a wholesome note of like, be the change you want in the community and everything, guys. But I also promised Dean he could talk about his last point he wants to bring up. Go ahead, Dean. Go ahead.
I choose darkness here. Okay, so there was a thread on Global a while ago about world-class deck builders and Weiss Schwarz. Okay, so I have had this problem with Weiss Schwarz for a while now, where I feel you cannot deck build in this game. This is the most bland, boring game when it comes to deck building. You go, there's 2 level 1 combos, they both get me hand, and you just like kind of pick them just depending on what color you like. Like, right, you got a 4-color wheel and you spin it and you go, oh, I like green. I guess I'm playing the green combo that adds cards in my hand. And then you choose a finisher. There's usually 2 to 3 finishers in a set. And, oh, surprise, 2 of them suck and 1 of them is good. So you put the good one in your deck and you're like, I'm so good at deck building. And then you put 3 brainstorms, 3 Rickies, maybe a clean cut if you decide to. You could say all clean cuts are bad. So instead you put the runner in. And then 50 cards in your deck are suddenly there. And you're like, there's no room. I literally can't, like, every other card in the set is bad or mediocre. It's, like, very obvious that they're bad or mediocre, or they're on the wrong colors. And then people are like, I built this deck. So you didn't build that deck. Bushiroad handed you that deck. Bushiroad, dude, people outside of, like, things where you play 8 blank gates or you play some, like, wonky, 3 climax spread with, like, abusing climax swappers like Million Life it can do, or the 10 event Million Life list, as much as I hate that. Like, most of the time, you are playing a deck that Bushiroad handed you. You didn't build anything. I would say it is not an exaggeration that 9 out of 10 sets in this game, Bushiroad hands you the list. Bushiroad goes, hello, here's the deck you're going to play. And then people are like, I'm testing 3 Rickies instead of 4. And you're like, wow, that's amazing. Or they're like, I'm playing the meme deck. I put 1 of this level 3 in my deck. You didn't do anything. You didn't do anything. You're just playing the same deck. You changed 1 card. Because I play other card games where people brew and they have like thousands of cards to choose from. And then I play Weiss and there's 100 cards and 80 of them suck. And people come at me with 20 good cards and they're like, I built this.
Oh man!
Oh, this is something for a while.
that's definitely an issue I had with the game, and one of the driving factors of why I took a break was just the game started feeling stale, and it still feels kind of stale, where every set is getting the same 80 cards, and 20 of those cards are just better than the other.
Yeah, and
other stack of cards, and it's always the same effects. Something I really enjoyed about Magic is just every deck plays so much different from each other.
Yeah.
And there's so much room for
Tinkering.
just oh, I have this really stupid idea. I'm going to put this artifact on board that says the legend rule doesn't apply to me, and I'm going to play 6 legendary creatures, and I'm going to copy them, and I'm going to flicker them, and they're going to do all this stuff, and it's going to be really cool.
Yeah.
You can't... There's a lot of space for expression in Weiss, but it's really stifled when the same 20 cards in every single set are the same good cards. It's your plussing level 0s, it's your plussing level 1 combo, it's your utility 2s, it's your early play, it's your finisher or your stabilization mechanic at level 3. It's
in Weiss Schwarz, we call that artifact flavor.
yeah, but go ahead.
Finish yours, because I got a little bit more in me. I can't.
Oh no. It's just the creativity of people in this game is stifled because the fun, the flavorful decks are just outside of like certain sets having abnormally really good waifu decks. The creativity is just so stifled because why would I ever build this weird jank 4-color pile of cards when I can play the combo into the early play, into the finisher?
I know the set I brewed around the most has been Kimono, and like Kid will remember when I'm like, yo, check out this standby deck, 4-color, like all kinds of like wonky stuff. But like most sets, and it gets really bad because Weiss comes out with so many sets in a year, right? They come out 2 to 3 a month in Japanese. And when you start buying them, you go, wow, I get to build the same deck again. And what's even worse about this game is when you get the sets that you get to deck build with. They're probably unplayable. It's probably your deck building because they gave you 100 bad cards. They gave you 100 bad cards because you bought Lost Decade, and you're sitting here on the Copium machine trying to figure out how your 2/2 with 1 soul is supposed to be good. Then you're just like, I just should buy Dow, where my 2/2 has more power than the last 2/2 they printed, and Scries. Like, right?
Dean, I'm going to propose a solution. So, in Magic the Gathering, the most popular format being played is Commander. Or at least that's what...
no, that's accurate.
Pauper Highlander Standard?
No, Commander is...
No. So Commander has this arbitrary scale of power levels that you discuss between games. So obviously in Weiss, your objective best deck is always going to be those cookie cutter lists, save for random things popping up here and there. So for casual games, do we need to start normalizing a conversation of power level of a deck before a game?
Something like that would be good, because like if you look at modern sets, I feel like most sets are printed at like 2017 to 18 power level for like 60 to 70 cards, and then they have 30 cards that are 2022 power level. Right. And you're like, wow, that's a good card, but this other card is just like obviously better, right? And then that's what you put in your deck.
Yeah.
As we told you to.
It's like, why would I take the on reverse search combo whenever I can have the on attack ditch 1+2?
I mean, I don't.
So I feel like if we normalized the casual gameplay of Weiss, these kinds of brews would be more well known.
That kind of stuff really needs a format though for it to take off, and it's really hard. It's really hard to design any sort of more casual or like more.
It's like asking somebody playing Modern to be like, "Oh, what's your power level of Modern?" It's like, "Well, I'm going to play a monkey on turn 1, and you're going to die on turn 3."
Yeah,
he's right.
Like,
that's exactly how it works.
Like, I don't even know how we could make a format where it would be like, oh, let's play this like in between rounds or something like that. It's
I think the best way to do it would be to make a format with custom bans. Like, you would have to pay attention to the meta for every set. That was the problem. Like, it would take a lot of work. You'd have to pay attention to everything. You'd have to ban all of the cards that are problematic across every set. Like, I think it would take too much work to actually make it.
Yeah, because like you can't just say, let's just do commons and uncommons or something like that. Then like things don't work. Like,
Right.
And then you have the random sets like I think it was Gurren and Attack on Titan that both had entire decks based at common and uncommon just for the army decks or whatever. And those were just
and Konosuba.
Oh my god, the Gurren.
And you can't exactly be like, just ban everything with the word brainstorm, ban everything with the CXC text on it, because then the lesser known CXCs don't get a chance to shine.
Right.
So
Yeah.
So something I wanted to say is Japan occasionally will come out with, if you follow like the Japanese Twitter, sometimes you'll see decks that are like actual deck building. I feel like you see it very rarely from the Western Hemisphere. But like when Gurren first came out, and I was like with my friend, we were talking and looking at lists because he was new to the game at the time and he loved Gurren, and I'm like, let's look at some Gurren lists. There's a Japanese list that played no combos, 0 combos, and it played 8 blink gates with the twin drives, not a single level 1. It was all in on the merge, the Yokos. And then you start to play it and you're like, wait, this might be the best build of Gurren. Like it's like stuff like that, right? Or what I've been playing for Kimono recently, no combos. It's all in on abusing the fact that they got a secondary gate. And just like the utility that the other cards provide, and then using like the scryers to help find the gates, and so you can plus hand. And decks like that feel cool, right? Because it feels like they have an identity that's different than like what exists, and like for the most part. But yeah, for the most part.
But once again, these types of decks just don't really have a home. Because it's so rare for the brew to be the better deck. It is so incredibly rare.
I think Kimono's the only one where that's true. Like right now, like I think Kimono is like actually in a good spot in the meta where it can actually like win.
I think back in like the early days of Weiss, where everybody was playing blank doors and blank 2K1s as their advantage engine, and they were just playing like a vanilla 6/5 as maybe this lives. I feel like there was a lot more opportunity in that time of Weiss for somebody to brew something, and then that's just the better deck.
So Dean and I talked about this a little bit earlier, and I feel like the last time that deck building was really a thing for this game was, 2015, 2016? It was back when Konosuba 1 had just come out, and so like Konosuba 1, you play
I think it depends on the set.
Well, that's true. It does depend on the set, I guess. But like from my memory, Konosuba 1 was you don't play a level 3 combo. You're playing the Aris Freestander most likely. You have the option to play a level 3 combo if you're playing red. But most of what you're doing, it's stuff that decks don't play nowadays. Like it's the kind of cards that don't see play nowadays. They're considered bad cards. And I think most deck building existed when you didn't have a normalization of every set has climax swap, every set has this effect. A normalization where not every set had every tool that's out there.
Bushiroad says, here's an OK 1K1 deck, and here's a standby deck, and it's going to be the best.
Yes, somebody in chat says, let's not confuse intentionally handicapping ourselves as creative. I think that's directed at me. I'm not saying intentionally handicapping yourself is creative per se. I'm saying in order to get creative, you have to limit yourself like that, because if your objective is to build the best deck of a set, usually you just have to go with the cookie cutter list where you see like, this game plan at level 3 is the best. This combo fits the color, and like you just paint by numbers on that.
It's more that the shells are so expansive and so good that'd be like, okay, it's just like if you're familiar with the game enough to know what cards are good, or even know halfway what cards are good, your deck builds itself so quickly.
Right.
Inside the shells that there's no room for that expression.
But the thing is, as soon as you take away, as soon as you handicap yourself, all of the decks that are not that best deck, there's so many different ways to build it, and it be the same or just a little bit better than a different build.
It'd just be so hard to curate a format because it would
Yeah,
have.
I don't think it's possible to curate a format like that.
It would have to be per set. You'd have to curate a ban list per set, which is like disgusting.
I think that's I think that's an unfortunate byproduct of how Neo Standard works, as opposed to what Weiss could have been if Standard was the primary way of playing.
Yeah, I think in the beginning, Standard was like the first push format, and then it swapped over.
Yes,
to Neo
Standard was pushed for a couple of years, and then they were like, "This is kind of confusing for people. Let's deal with this."
Okay, I seem to have been attacked. I don't think that people should.
Oh no! Don't talk to Dean, guys. What are you doing in chat, please? No, go ahead.
I don't think that you're supposed to handicap yourself. It's just like, man, there's so many cards in a set, and people play so few, right? That's like where things get upsetting.
Yeah, it's true.
So I think another thing is like,
what if? Oh, go ahead, Ellis.
Oh, so like, I'm gonna take an example from Konosuba. So I built a deck for Konosuba. I spent 6 months building this deck, playtesting it. It has the ability to kill a player from 0-5. It has the ability to kill a player from level 1. But I would
better not be talking about the 8 stock soul take an extra turn deck that I played before you.
Yeah, it doesn't play for
that one.
But
that deck is sick.
The deck's awesome. But I would never in my life take the deck to a regional over any other like cookie cutter Konosuba build. And that's a problem I think that this game also has. So like your fun, creative builds will never be as good as or better than most of your cookie cutter builds.
I will literally prove you wrong in every regional I go.
Okay. We had a good thing in chat. One people said Virginia did a 2-deck format where your opponent could like veto one and then you play against the other one. I think that's good for like a thing, but like somebody said Conquest. Like Conquest is actually so sick for Weiss when Nico and Dean were up.
I played in 2 Conquest formats. That was very fun.
Like when Dean and Nico were up in Pittsburgh, and Nico, of course, got drunk and wanted to money match people, I said you guys should play Conquest, and like did it once with like Nico versus Andy, and like that was really cool. And then like did it another couple times throughout the weekend. It is really fun because you get to see more. Like
the issue is that it's pretty prohibitive because not everybody's going to be able to afford 3 decks, let alone 3 decks of the same caliber as each other.
And you have to play a best of 3 effectively.
Yeah,
which makes it even harder. The 2-deck veto is interesting. I'd be interested to see how that goes. Maybe we'll run the locals like that.
You just RPS for first ban, and then you alternate, right? Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Now, this is a kind of weird one that's like... I don't know if this is like the proper way to explain it or not, but there's like another problem with Weiss where unless you're building a actually functional like homebrew, your homebrew is probably going to be miserable to play as well, right? Yeah. That's like another problem. Where in like Weiss, it's like if your deck is bad, it feels really bad.
I always say this all the time. It's like, well, why don't you want to play quote unquote fun decks? And I go like, well, things that aren't tuned in Weiss feel like actual garbage to play. It's no fun.
Even this deck was like pretty streamlined. It's played like 4 cameras and bunch of stuff. Like, remember Dual Laner GGO? That deck's funny.
Oh, Dual Laner GGO's hype. But like, okay, you say that, but even that deck was streamlined, Dean. Even that deck was tuned.
Yeah, I'm saying like that's what I'm saying. Like that deck is streamlined, right? That's like a funny one. But there's like a lot of decks that are like trying to do something like similar that just feel miserable.
Oh yeah. GGO got away with it because it had good zeros. So like,
it had good zeros that had camera. I think camera's what really brought it.
Camera was really important for that deck.
I think a lot of this creativity is also stifled because you cannot profitably go quote all in a Weiss match.
Yeah,
because that Konosuba deck that Ellis was talking about, you go all in.
Yep,
and
exactly.
With the game being best of 1, and with the game being very in your face about the RNG and just conservative plays being pretty rewarding in this game.
Yep.
Taking leveling yourself twice to take 2 extra turns and get 3 combat phases.
Wait, that's not my build.
Oh, that's not your build? Oh, well, that was my build.
Deal 1 6 times event instead of the time walk.
No, I play both.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yes. So my opponent would be at level 1. I would level myself up once with the extra turn, and then I would level myself up again with the burn 1 event. So I would ping 1 6 times. So that's my first quote unquote combat phase, and then I would get my first attack phase. I would sculpt on my next attack, and then I would maybe have a finisher on the 3rd attack phase. And my opponent either died or I was at like 3-5 when they were at 2-0.
So the thing I like about that one is at least like the game is over fast. I think the worst thing about the funny decks is like you're like, oh, I'm gonna play the funny 2-soul build, and then you slam your 2-soul, your opponent cancels on 5, and then they triple cancel because of that, and then you're forced to sit through a 20-minute game where you're losing the entire game.
Yeah,
and you're like,
the nature of this game does not lend itself very well to playing anything. It just goes back to this exact same statement. The game does not lend itself well to playing anything other than that cookie cutter build.
But your build of Konosuba, you kill yourself, and then the game is over. It's not bad. Everyone's just kind of confused. You're like, well, that was a 3-minute game. Huh?
Yeah.
You guys are done already over there? Really?
All right. I think we're gonna wrap it up here, guys. We've been going on for over 2.5 hours. Man, this was
good content. Ad revenue.
It was a lot of fun. We need to start doing this more often again. And invite more people on. Maybe we can reach out to some of the smaller content creators, get them on here to shill all their shit to our subscriber base. That'll be a lot of fun. And but yeah, I guess we'll do any shout outs if anyone has anything. Go ahead.
Shout out Clock Draw Brainstorm TV. I don't
Best
know.
content.
Don't know when another video is going to come out, but man, that tier list video was fire.
Every video's been fire. My favorite is the one about deck building. Really taught me how to cook a salmon.
All right. Ellis, you got any shout outs?
No. I might look into making some written content for this game. If I do, I'll put it through to you guys so you can put it out there where it needs to go.
Sounds good.
Oh yeah.
Tyler, any shout outs for yourself?
Not really. Dean let me borrow his cards again for the regional, so that was sick. Thanks. I think after our conversation here, I'm inspired to go make a creative deck profile video now.
Do it. It's good content. Explain your stuff well, but make it short.
It's so hard to make it short.
No, you can make a deck profile in 10 minutes, easy.
I'll start throwing the PowerPoint together tomorrow.
Funny.
It'll be funny.
Carmen, any shout outs for yourself from PGH?
No,
Right.
none at all.
Not even gonna shout out PGH.
I mean, I do it every time.
All right, and then for our silent watchman here, Hanson, if he's still here, any shout outs for yourself?
He's alive.
No, but everyone who's watching, please click the notification. It helps.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah, do the call to action stuff. I hear it's really cool. I hear all the cool people
do
the call to action
you guys
stuff.
Like, comment, subscribe. Give us your
posting us.
Give us all your money and I don't know what other stuff that influencers always do. All the toxic influencers do. For myself, I will do a shout out to this one guy. He was hold on, let me open up his Twitter page here. He was the 2016 Weiss Schwarz North American WGP first place champion. He has been pushing out a lot of content. He's from, I think, the Northwest region of I don't know why I said Northwest. The West region of Canada. I forget his actual name. He's at @ispiggy on Twitter.
Oh, Steven.
Oh, Steven. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Steven
Duh.
Brahma,
His channel is Steve's Weiss Schwarz channel. I should have known.
Yep.
I'm so dumb. Anyway.
Steve from Toronto. He opens every video with that, yeah.
Yeah, he uploads a lot of videos, like almost one. Actually, yeah, he's been uploading content.
Sometimes it's multiple times a day.
Yeah.
He's insane.
He basically has been recording at his locals and stuff. And he does commentary over his videos. They're 3x speed match videos. He has some insightful stuff there. Whenever I have like a break at work, usually I like even at his 3x speed, I watch it at 1.5 times speed to get done quicker. But
How have I not seen this channel?
he posts videos like nonstop commentating on matches. There's some matches on there with Luna. Is her name Christy? I was confused. We used to
Christy, yeah.
Christy, who's also another really good player. They recently she was in a couple match videos on there as well. Very good players all around. So if you're looking for a match video with commentary that's very quick, like usually under 10 minutes. Check it out. It's Steve's Weiss Schwarz channel, and if you want to follow him on Twitter, it's at Piggy at is Piggy. Sorry, at is Piggy with 2 G's. I don't know if that's normal. I don't know.
ISPIGGY.
Yeah.
I just looked it up because I had never heard of this person's.
Yeah. Give him a follow.
This looks like something that I would just these videos are like 10 minutes long. That's exactly how long my breaks at work are.
Yep. So you can zoom through those videos, get a little knowledge. He talks about his decision making and with what his opponent might have been thinking or so forth, and how the match goes. So cool information to get out there. I know we used to do commentary videos for matches. We need to get back to it once I start recording again at locals. We'll see how things go. But yeah, give him a follow his YouTube channel. He makes a lot of content. He deserves more eyes on his content, and then tell him that we sent you guys. That'd be really cool. I think other than that, guys, we're done here. We'll see you guys in our next streamer video. I'm sorry everyone has to be subjected to Dean playing Shadowverse on our channel occasionally.
Whoa!
You mean Dean losing Shadowverse?
Oh yeah, sorry, Dean losing at Shadowverse on our channel.
Oh, I usually win. I'm the best.
Sure. Other than that, guys, everyone have a good night. We'll see you all.